There you go. Send me some money, Spicy. Damn. Freeloader. Sorry, we went, Mariah talked me into taking the kids to see a movie. School's getting ready to start back, so. We took the boys to see a movie tonight.
What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out.
They're doing Deadpool. Ollie's probably too young for it, but he's kind of oblivious, so it is what it is.
Tell us lies and fade away, fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to
It was good. Deadpool and Wolverine team up.
wake it to the back of the pack, kill it anyway.
I would make a funny, sarcastic, like, review of the film, but it would just be all the shit that Ryan Reynolds says.
Dropping out. Beat the odds, beat the big house. The brains are bigger than the doubt. We've been thinking for ourselves, never let the truth fade away. It's bigger than
Yeah, it's rated R for jokes and I guess, like, blood. I don't know. There's not any, like, sex scenes or nothing crazy like that. No nudity. There's just it's not just like blatant, like, I don't know. It's a lot of innuendo, I guess. Yeah, Ollie doesn't really get it. I mean, he laughed at, like, more of the comical, like, fight stuff, but he didn't get any of the innuendo and jokes and shit like that, so I wasn't too worried about it. Liam's becoming a teenager. He probably got some of it, I'm sure. Let's see. Can we pause this? Yeah. All right, here we go. Roll the intro. That's why I'm late, but it was actually really cheap, so I don't know if you're supposed to. So it's at an AMC theater, and I don't know if you're supposed to pay for, like, the AMC club or it's free or whatever. But the lady told us it was free, and she signed up for it. And I guess I didn't realize it was even Tuesday, but on Tuesdays it's like half off. So, like, my total was like $60-some just for the tickets, and then Mariah signed up for some stupid card thing, and it was like $23 for the tickets. So it was actually a really good deal. I had no idea that was happening.
Hey daddies, it's me, the Linda Binda from TikTok. I wanted to make this video because I wanted to thank you for watching Cold Beer Confessionals with Will Bird. I think that's just incredible. I've watched a few episodes and I'm just, like, very intrigued. But you know what I'm most intrigued in is Big Daddy's meat stick. I heard that it's very thick, like a good old German sausage. You know, Linda and her coochie loves that. Oh, never mind. Let's not go there. Anyways, I hope you have a good show and enjoy it as you can. There's a lot of weird things that go on, especially when it comes from the realm of Linda Bindaland. So, enjoy the show. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Oh, welcome, everybody. I'm Will Bard. This is Cold Beer Confessional. I actually had it planned out a little bit better. The plan was, I went into work a little bit earlier, and I got off a little bit earlier because we were supposed to go see the movie at 6, and the website said 6, and I could have bought tickets on the website, but it didn't look anywhere near sold out. So we showed up at just before 6, and they're like, "Oh, the show's at 7." So that's why we ended up getting here so late. We were supposed to go, that would have been from 6 to like 8, and then been back and do a show, but that's not how it worked out. Instead, it started after 7, and it was almost sold out. We had to sit in like some seats that are technically handicapped, so they're like either or, right? There's like a handicap section. They're like, "We can sell you any of the handicap seats as long as you don't pick one with a circle over it." So there you go. That's what happened. It's a good movie. I'd recommend it. It was funny. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Anyways, thank you guys for joining us. I'm Will Bard. It's Cold Beer Confessional. Getting a late start. There's a report I want to read. There's a report that came out last week, and it is the Department of Homeland Security Office of Inspector General publishing a report on what the Secret Service did on January 6th. The Secret Service had a pretty big day that day, I'm sure. Pop bombs, Trump, Pence, everything going on there. I haven't read it yet, but we'll check it out. I haven't really been in touch with anything. Like I said, I went into work early today. I got off early, came to the office, but that was just for like an hour, and then took off and went to the movies. We've been trying to see the movie ever since. So I'm not sure what happened today. The world could have collapsed. I have no idea, but we'll get to the back of it. I was going through some of these Twitter posts. What is Ryan McBeth doing?
So Nick Adams posted this video about how a guy named Aiden Ross gave Donald Trump a Rolex on his live stream. This is extremely alpha.
Well, I know a little bit about watches, and allow me to retort.
The only thing worse than a fake Rolex is a real one.
If you know watches like you really know watches, giving someone a Rolex is kind of an insult. If you want a watch that looks good, retains its value, and you can also read at night,
Consider getting yourself a ball watch. I have 2 of them.
that's right, I have 2 balls. One of them is bigger than the other. And as for what kind of male I am, I'm not an alpha, I'm not a beta.
I think I'm more of a Sigma male.
Hey, you see what I did there? Typical Sig guy. I'm not an alpha, I'm not a beta.
I think I'm more of a Sigma male.
She has a Sig
Hey, you see what I
pistol.
did there? Typical Sig guy.
Wow. I guess I don't know anything about watches. I don't know anything about Rolex. I know they're fucking expensive. I don't know anything about any of that. I was watching or saw some around McBath talking about the Supreme Court, Kamala Harris picked her VP, which is I called it yesterday. The only reason I called it yesterday is because the press seemed like they were still trying to say that Ben Shapiro was in the running a little too hard, like they didn't want to give it up. And then there was a headline that came out that said the reason why TW is a great pick. It said the reason why TW is a great pick for vice president. And they were saying that this was accidentally released early. And they're like, look at the media. They're lying to you. Like, they don't even have a name yet. They're doing this. Yeah, Josh Shapiro. My bad. They're lying to you, and they're saying that they don't even know who it is yet, and they're already. But I think they were using his initials. But then somebody came out and said the report was fake. So who the fuck knows? So Tim Walz is the pick. I think he's just like I think he's kind of a safe pick, right? He doesn't have a whole lot of controversy. He seems to be really well liked where he's at. He doesn't not a whole lot of negative back. Nothing's going to bring it down. Plus, he had some experience, right? So he's been there a lot longer. He served honorably in the military. Somebody said at one time he was the highest ranking military member to ever be like a congressman or something. I don't know. Ryan McBeth did a video. Let's see what it says.
So I just found out that Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota was selected as
Vice President Harris's running mate. And did you know that Governor Tim Walz is a retired sergeant major?
Now, this is a political post, but I do have this
highest ranking enlisted, probably, because he's sergeant major. That makes sense, right? He wouldn't be the highest ranking, like, officer.
image in my head that if Vice President Harris actually wins the White House, the first time she walks across the White House lawn to Marine One, "Hey there, you! Get off my doggone grass!" So I just found out that Governor Tim Walz...
That's some Army humor. I haven't checked in. What's Ron McBeth been busting lately? The last video we watched is where he busts Jack Posobiec's fake account. But what else has he been covering there? How Iran could strike Israel scenario, disinformation, and on the South... Oh, yeah, the Southport incident. So here's where I stand right now. I don't have any idea other than what's actually been confirmed. So the last time I looked at it, the guy, they said it was a Muslim immigrant, right? Turns out he was actually born in the UK. His parents are immigrants from Rwanda, and they are super devout Christians. And then people are like, "Oh, he was radicalized by Islam," but maybe. But I don't think anybody can prove that yet. This is the Southport incident, is the stabbing that happened. He's a horrible piece of shit for doing what he did. But, you know, sometimes fucking Christians stab people. Sometimes fucking atheists stab people. Sometimes, especially in the UK, they have stabbing crimes instead of gun crimes. So let's see what's going on here. Because they did put it out immediately and got everybody mad about Muslims and immigration. Let's see what fucking Ron McBeth had.
What kind of misinformation
And to be fair, I haven't really looked into this more than reading some news stories, shit that was supported. I don't know. I know when he was young, he went to church with his parents, but maybe he grew away from that. But his parents, the neighbors reported that his parents were very involved in the church. They often heard them singing hymns and stuff coming from their house, but maybe he rebelled against that. I don't know.
is coming out of the tragedy in Southport, England? Now, first, I have to say, this is probably going to be a Substack exclusive. If by some miracle of God this ends up on YouTube, you can go to ryanmcbeth.substack.com for the uncensored version. Thank you to all my Substack subscribers who give me $5 every month to support my work. Second, sorry for the video quality. I think I'm in the darkest hotel room ever at LAX airport. I don't know what this is, a hotel room for vampires or something, but let's get started. The name Ali al-Shaqati started to spread online as the identity of the attacker.
This is the first thing, and someone said this means Ali the apartment or something like that, or the Ali in the apartment or some shit. It's not even like a typical name. I don't know if that's true either. I just know that spread like wildfire for some reason. It was just a fucking made up name. That's a wild looking chair. It looks like something from fucking Star Trek. Before we get any farther, somebody just left me a comment the other day and was like, "Oh, your show's unwatchable. I'm a Trump supporter, blah, blah, blah. I can't, why don't you cover Kamala Harris?" And I do, when I think there's something going on that's wrong, when I think they're lying to you about something, when I think they're hyping something up that isn't real. But people are like, "Why don't you cover both sides equally?" I don't think the threat is from both sides equally. I just don't. Maybe you do. I'm sorry about that. But all I'm sharing is stuff that's actually happened, that's been said, that's been done. The fucking, he tried to steal the fucking election while claiming it was stolen from him. I don't believe that there's an equal amount of fucking danger on both sides. So no, I'm not gonna spend like exactly 10 minutes covering Trump and exactly 10 minutes covering Kamala Harris, because I don't believe the level of danger is the same. The same way that I wouldn't cover a fucking a shoddy fucking wiring job in an outlet that is going to set fire to your fucking house and a new light bulb, right? There's two different levels of danger here, and that's what I believe. If you don't, that's cool.
So I plugged that name, Ali al-Shaqati, into Cyabra, which is a social media threat detection tool. And I had identified an account called Weldon Girl or Fairbrit as the origin of the name. But then I did a little more. And there was a woman.
So he found out the first person that put out the name. That's interesting. He's got a bunch of cool tools. I wonder if it's open source shit. So you have OSINT, which is open source intelligence stuff. I wonder if those tools are open source.
Named Kathleen Denkinson from the Times Radio, who identified the source of the tweet. And this just happened to be a fake news channel called Channel 3 Now. And I have to start by saying that Kathleen Denkinson did an excellent job uncovering this, and all the credit goes to her, 100%.
You know, if you're doing Channel 3 Now and you got a news logo and blah, 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 you might be like satirically covering the news, but when someone picks up one of your tweets and retweets, like a big account, retweets one of your tweets or uses your information and saying this come from Channel 3 News, that even if you're a satire site, other people aren't going to know you're satire, right? When they start sharing it like crazy, they're not going to go back to the source. They're just going to, that fits my beliefs, so I'll do this.
Now, what's interesting is the tweet from Channel 3 Now has since been deleted, which is why it wasn't showing up first, but the damage has already been done. There's already been anti-immigrant rallies in the UK, and of course that was the intention of this fake news tweet, unless it wasn't.
And it's weird that, like, so I saw Destiny and a Lauren Southern and a couple more people debating this. And his parents are super Christian. Seems like he was raised pretty Christian. Maybe he converted later on in life. That wasn't even 18 yet. He turns 18 this week. But it seems weird that they told you to direct all your hate towards mosques, right? You show up at mosque and attack them. It seems more like someone needs this fiery divide between the Christian or the Europeans and the immigrants because it fits their political narrative. I don't know. Maybe it'll come out that he was Christian, but then he went fucking extra super Muslim and fucking that's why he did it. And he was screaming Allah Akbar and all the shit, right? But it doesn't seem like we have any of that information yet.
And I'll get to that. Now, from the original tweet, there were a few things that kind of smell. First off, in the UK, a 17-year-old is considered to be a minor, and the police are not allowed to release a minor suspect's name. Second, the name Ali al-Shaqati is engine.
So they're not allowed to release the minor's name except in certain circumstances, right? So there's a difference between the text of the law, like the reading of the law, the application of the law, and the spirit of the law, right? So the spirit of the law, the reason, so it says we're not going to release the minor's name. That's the text. That's the hard law, okay? That is how the law says, and if we went by that every time, no minor's name would ever get released. Then there's the spirit of the law. The spirit of the law is, why would we make this law? Why would we have this law? Why is this a law? It's to protect the minor, right? And it's to protect the minor's family. It's to protect his neighborhood. It's to protect in events like this. But they weren't going to the minor's family or neighborhood or his church. They were going to a different one. So in the spirit of the law and going by in a week he's going to turn 18, might as well release the name, hoping that would quell some of the stuff. Like he's from Rwanda, Christian parents. He was born in wherever. He was born there in the UK, hoping to take that down some. And the fact that he turns 18 in a couple weeks, they thought they could help with this. Now, is that technically following the law? No. Is it in the spirit of the law? Technically, right? They're still trying to do some protection. And at the time they released his name, his parents had already been protected, right? They had already left their home and went into hiding. Some government help, I'm sure, to get out of the spotlight, so people didn't show up at those house.
Near to sound like a Muslim name. But on the Kalamata, Big Shwaya Shwaya, and this isn't a common name. In fact, some people were saying the name al-Shaqati meant my apartment.
Okay, my apartment.
The word for apartment is Shakata, so okay. Now the third thing that smells is the text, Ali al-Shaqati was on an MI6 watch list, and that's a little bit strange. MI6 is a foreign intelligence agency. That's the agency James Bond worked for.
Why would they say, why do you think they would say, yeah, it's a horrible crime? I don't cut this guy any fucking slack. He's a piece of shit. I just think we jump to conclusions way too quick sometimes. Why would they say MI6 instead of MI5? Right? Why would we say MI6 instead of MI5? Because it furthers their narrative that he's an outsider. He's a foreign threat. He just got here on a boat, and he come here just as soon as he got here, he started stabbing people.
5 is a domestic intelligence agency. So if this guy was on a watch list, it would have been MI5, not MI6. The rumor also spread the attacker was from Rwanda, which is kind of weird as well, because most
Rwanda is super, super, super Christian, right? Like 90-some% Christian or some shit.
Rwandans are Christian. There's only like 2% of the population of Rwanda is.
Oh, wow.
Now,
so 98% is non-Muslim.
it's not impossible for a Muslim to travel.
He stabbed a bunch of young girls at a dance class thing. I think 3 of them ended up dying. It was a knife attack at a dance thing. At first, I heard it was like a dance thing to like a celebration kicking off the Olympics, and then I heard it was a class. He's a piece of shit, but I don't know that we know that he's Muslim or that we should be attacking mosques, but whatever.
From Rwanda to England, but it's not super likely. So
this is what caused me to text my nephew. I was like, shit's popping off over, even though they're in Paris, right, for the Olympics. I was like, hey, shit's popping off over there. Who knows what'll happen? I mean, it's not that big a leap to go from the UK to fucking Paris to whatever. And Paris had that firebombing attack on the trains, plus someone cut their telecommunication lines and shit. I was like, hey, keep your head on a swivel. Run.
channel3now.com website where you can find the link below. And here's what's interesting. There are no names associated with articles on the website. All the articles simply say Channel 3 Now staff. There's a no phone
of course.
There's no address, only a contact page and an email address.
So it sounds like they're trying to be fake news. They're not even, it's not even like a satire page. Like it's we're a real news station, but we don't want you to know who the fuck we are.
But you know what there are? There are a lot of ads. So, you know how I tend to go after Russian misinformation sites that are designed to stoke division? Based on all the ads, I think this is a fake news site that's designed to sell outrage, to sell ad views. I mean, look at this. It is difficult to tell which is the ad and which is the article. So this is a new low, exploiting tragedy to sell ads. Again, shout out.
It's probably operated by some foreigner, and where they can make, if they make a few $1,000s, they're set for fucking life. You know what I mean? Like in a third world country. There's a lot of those sites. Like, what? Hey, what was the one? What's the site that we were trying to get taken down and the GoFundMe? USmilitarynews.com or some shit, and it was ran out of Vietnam or Laos or some shit.
Catherine Denkinson of Times Radio, who first figured this out, and thank you guys so much for watching.
We are going to read this document. I want to see what this is. There's been a lot of talk around Mr. Beast. Now, I personally like Mr. Beast. I think he does a lot of good. I know he had an issue with Chris turning into Chris, which was like a trans issue, and a lot of people didn't like that. It did seem like Chris appeared in a whole lot less videos, and then there was an outing that Chris may have been grooming or at least joking inappropriately with minors at one time before transitioning, but still joking inappropriately with minors, having minors call him daddy and saying weird jokes and shit. But then more stuff come out about Mr. Beast, including the fact that just like Phil, Godlewski violates a lot of the FEC shit for like broadcasting online. When Mr. Beast does live streams, he basically says, whoever buys a shirt in the next 5 minutes, or whoever does this, or whoever does that, we're putting $1,000 in your order. Well, technically, because there's a lot of times there's no purchase necessary listed, right? No purchase necessary. That's an illegal lottery. And I don't know if that's going to come to a head or not. He's kind of YouTube's golden boy. He doesn't seem to be tied in a lot of drama. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to make a difference or not, but here this seems to be somebody talking about it.
Let's say you're an up-and-coming creator, and you've got people who are paid subscribers to you on Twitch or members on YouTube, and you think this is awesome. I really appreciate their support, and I'd love to give something back. Why don't I give away an Xbox to one of my paid Twitch subscribers? I'll just set the chat into sub mode, and I'll have a bot. Pick someone at random, and I'll send them an Xbox. That would be really cool, right? Well, not only is that a violation of Twitch or YouTube's terms of service, it's also a violation of the government's terms of service. It's illegal. You can't do that. That would be considered an illegal lottery, and this is a concept that the public actually finds itself.
I've seen people claiming Mr. Beast is the Antichrist. I think if we really believe the Antichrist, we're really pointing fingers. I don't know about that Donald Trump guy, especially if you believe the Q-tard narrative, where like he's going to bring world peace and everybody loves him and everybody's going to see that the Democrats are bad the whole time. He's going to expel. I don't know.
Hearing about a bit as of late, because there was a video posted on YouTube talking about Mr. Beast, and among a whole host of allegations, one of them was that he...
All right, so this is like streams where they have like 30 million or 20 million or whatever, right? And these streams, they'll sign shirts and they'll put money in orders. And they'll say stuff like, buy now, because in the next 5 minutes, we're going to put $1,000 in an order, or $100 or whatever, right? $5,000 in the next order. The next 5 orders are all getting $1,000. And especially when you have a young, like most people would be like, oh, well, you know, this is a random chance, blah, blah, blah. Who knows? I was going to buy merch anyways, or I wasn't going to buy merch anyways. I don't want to be. But a lot of his audience is children, younger audience, right? Using their parents' credit card. And they don't understand, even though it's illegal for an adult as well. I think it takes it up a notch when you're talking about kids.
Conducted illegal lotteries when giving away t-shirts many years ago. As I've said in videos past, I try not to hone in too
This channel is called Captain Sparkles, by the way.
much on YouTube drama. I try to focus on things that have wider reaching
I
implications.
just want to see what his opinion is.
So you may think it hypocritical that I would be talking about this Mr. Beast Exposed video. And while I've watched the video in full, I'm not really going to be talking about a majority of the allegations made by the former employee, but rather focus on the illegal lottery component because it's a topic of particular interest to me, because I think illegal lotteries are something that creators can find themselves innocently and inadvertently doing without realizing that they are actually doing something illegal. I have, over the course of making YouTube videos ever since I became aware of.
So if you're going to do a giveaway, you have to have the no purchase necessary part of it, right? I couldn't do a giveaway with just my paid Patreon members. I could say, hey, even if you make a free account, sure, because there's a way to do it for free. But the government separates, hold on. There is a matrix, right, that does, let's see if this is it. There are like 3 things that make something a lottery. I should have SEC. Illegal lotteries. (18 USC chapter 61, maybe. Hold on. There's like 3 things. One's consideration. One is chance. And I can't remember. Sorry. All right. The answer is simple. If a sweepstakes, so there's a difference between a sweepstakes, a contest, and a lottery. Sweepstakes and contests are kind of the same things. They have different variables, but a lottery's illegal, and here's how it is. Here's how it's separated. If a sweepstakes or a contest does not comply with applicable laws, the promotion runs the risk of being considered an illegal lottery and could be subject could subject the business to regulatory action, including civil and criminal exposure. States usually define a lottery as having 3 elements. And if you take one of these 3 away, it's no longer a lottery, okay? It's a prize, a chance, and consideration. Now, consideration can be a lot of things, right? Consideration can be like you gave money, you bought a ticket. It can also be like volunteering your time or having to do a certain unreasonable thing. Consideration is a legal concept. In non-legal terms, consideration is either doing something you are not legally required to do, promising not to do something you have the right to do. To explain consideration, let's use social media sweepstakes that require entrants to like and share a post to win a company gift card. The issue with consideration in social media sweepstakes is whether requiring participants to like or comment or share a post reaches the level of doing something you're not legally allowed to do. So we've all seen giveaways where they're like, you have to like this post, you have to leave a comment on this post. Apparently, that may be in the gray area. On one end, someone without social media would have to make a social media account, like a post, and share the post, doing something that they are not legally required to do, not to mention the effort required to create an account along with the valuable personal identifying information that participant would have to provide. So that's something I wouldn't even think of. Like if I said, you have to like this Facebook post for a chance to win, I wouldn't think of I'm making somebody put in their information into a social media website that they could eventually, that could be lost, they could be scammed, so they could steal their identity. That's something I wouldn't even think about. On the other end, so many people have social media accounts nowadays that a regulator or a court may hold that liking and sharing a post does not satisfy the consideration element of illegal lottery laws, even though users are technically doing something that they are not legally required to do. Again, the lines are blurry here. The conservative approach is to analyze consideration under contract law. If a sweepstakes requires entrants to like, comment, or share a post on social media, it is likely consideration because the promotion is requiring participants to compete an action or task that they are not legally required to do. So, but this could be so much. Like if I said I'm giving away $1 million, the link's in the description, you got to click there. And you click there. That's something you're not legally required to do, right? That's why all the old contests on the, when you used to see them on TV, they'd say, no purchase necessary. Please mail a self-addressed envelope to blah, 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 whatever, and put it in there. Like, yeah, that's wild. There's so much that can be consideration. So I do see some YouTubers doing giveaways where they have you like click a link. That's one entrance. Then if you follow their Instagram, you get 5 entrances. If you like a post, you get 3 entrances. They like add up, but there has to be the one that's basically you just click this link, put your name and phone number in. There has to be one that's like super simple. You don't need accounts. You don't need anything else. And I think that's how they're trying to cover themselves. The other factor that we were talking about, let's finish this one. Is likely consideration because the promotion has required participants to complete an action or task that they are not legally required to do. Luckily, there's an easy workaround to minimize and potentially avoid consideration issues when conducting social media and other sweepstakes. The workaround to remove consideration is to add an option in the terms and conditions to enter the sweepstakes via an alternative entry method. An alternative method of entry, AMOE, or free form of entry. Now, when I buy shit from I bought some Cletus McFarlane sunglasses. They're actually right here, the heat waves. And I think I bought this hat. This is a Freedom Factory hat I'm wearing. But he was doing a giveaway at the time. And down at the bottom, it had like a little sheet that you could click on, fill out your information. You got an entrance that way, right? So it seems like his lawyer drew that up. Now, the chance element is another element to it is chance, right? Chance is like obviously a chance to win. When chance is involved in a promotion, this means that winning or the selection of the winner is dependent on chance in some manner, not necessarily dependent on skill. For example, winning sweepstakes is dependent on chance because winners are drawn at random. On the other hand, a golf tournament is dependent primarily on skill because the golfer who played with the most skilled in the tournament wins. The line between game of skill and game of chance can become blurry in games such as poker, which have both material chance and a skill component. So that's the other one. So there's this shady area. I'm not saying Mr. Beast is a bad guy for doing this. I am saying that once this video come out claiming that he was having an illegal lottery, he deleted all his shit. He deleted all the live streams.
Of what an illegal lottery was probably over a decade ago, informed probably tens at least of other creators so that they wouldn't do the same. And also I've had brand deals before where...
And I don't care about... I've heard the old videos of Mr. Beast 10 years ago where he was on like on a podcast. He's like, "Whoa, would you give her the dick or what?" I don't care about that. And he's like, "No, I think she's underage. That'd be gross. I wouldn't do it." I don't. That was a time on YouTube where if you weren't talking about putting your dick in something, you didn't get any views, right? I don't care. Like 2016 YouTube, fucking 2010 YouTube. I'm not worried about anything that was said back then. You should have been in my Xbox lobby.
From the brand side, someone has said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we maybe gave something away to someone who either signed up for the subscription or purchased our product? And I've had to tell them, no, you can't do that. Here's why it's illegal. Before we go further, we might as well go over some definitions so we can all be on the same page about what
he might just be able to do that. And I want to hear what he says about it.
Of the sweepstakes.
Again, this is
we don't want people gambling away their life savings, hoping that they're going to win.
Shit.
They're going to win whatever the prize is that's at stake. Now, I don't actually know what safeguards the government has with their lotteries to prevent people from dumping their whole life savings into lottery tickets. Maybe there is something, or maybe it's...
I don't think the government has safeguards. They have to do a thing. They have to do so much advertisement when they run a lottery. They usually do so much advertisement about being addicted to gambling shit. But I don't think they have safeguards. If you wanted to put your whole bank account in, you could.
It's just that, hey, at least if someone's going to dump their life savings, they gave it to us, the government, instead of some scammer out there. So it's a better outcome. I don't know, but it is what it is. And if lotteries were legal across the board, we would have infinite scams of people dumping their life savings, hoping to win, and then nobody actually gets a prize in the ticket issue where it just flees and goes into hiding. So at least we know with the government lotteries, people can pursue a career in politics and campaign on the platform of making lotteries legal and see how you do. Anyway, hopefully now we're all on the same page about what a lottery is and therefore an illegal lottery, a sweepstakes competition, so on and so forth. So let's link it back into YouTube. And illegal lotteries,
let's see.
I think, are still a pretty easy pitfall for especially newer creators who are unfamiliar with the concept. So like I said at the beginning of the video, the simple act of giving away something of monetary value while your chat is in subscriber mode, if it's Twitch, or member mode, if it's on YouTube, that is an illegal lottery. Because what someone could do, right, is they could create 100 new accounts, subscribe on all of them, and therefore increase their chances of winning that. Now, I don't necessarily think that the creator is hoping for that to take place. They're not hoping for someone to gamble their life savings, making alt accounts and signing them all up for sub mode. It's just not something you probably think about very much. If you're getting into this, you're young, you don't know about the rules, and you're really innocent about the whole thing. Now, and
there are so many. Right now, I get advertisements all the fucking time on Facebook. I don't know if you've been on Facebook, but they're all the time. There are entire companies that the only thing they do is give away cars and trucks and equipment and trailers and big prizes for buying their shitty merch. That's all. Like, I told you about buying merch from Cletus McFarland. He's got a YouTube channel and he does fucking cars and videos. I like his channel. I watch it all the time. It's like a mechanical channel, right? But these companies seem to exist only by you buy their merch. Every $5 gives you an interest to win so-and-so. I don't know why that's such a big thing. Is that like the ticket to like stardom now or some shit? Is that how you get famous?
Actually think that in this situation, intent matters. Now, it may not matter in a court of law if the Justice Department were to decide to prosecute you, but I think in the court of public opinion, it should matter. I will admit to something here that may be past the statute of limitations, but the way that I found out about illegal lotteries to begin with is because I accidentally did one a long time ago. And you might be like, wait, what the heck? There's no way that this counts as an illegal lottery, but technically it does. Back in probably 2012 or so, I did a charity live stream, and I said, hey, wouldn't it be cool if the people who donate to the charity I'm raising money for could be eligible to win a prize in a giveaway? You can't actually do that. That is an illegal lottery, even if it is.
We do that on my giveaways, but I tell you to click the link if you want to enter in the giveaway. They have an alternate way you can do it without making a donation.
For charity, even if it's someone who has given money to charity, you don't touch any of that. It's going to a good cause. You cannot pick someone out of the people who have contributed money to that charity to be eligible to win a prize. Everyone still has to be eligible.
Some of you guys have won. I know Q Idiot won. Somebody else won one time.
They no purchase necessary.
We gave away a Switch, a Nintendo Switch. We gave away some cool headphones, some cool microphones. I think a keyboard, or you could take the cash. But
right, so I didn't know that. I never got in trouble for it. I don't think it would ever actually be prosecuted because it'd be like, okay, well, it's, clearly this was for charity. He didn't have malicious intent. That's why I think intent matters. But even that's not
the mini TRX.
When I went to do my next charity stream, I was talking with someone from Twitch, and they're like, no, don't do that anymore. And I was like, wait, seriously? I can't give something away to someone who donated money to the charity. No, you can't do that. I know it's silly, but you just can't do that anymore. And that was what allowed me to get acquainted with illegal lottery rules, as silly as they are when it comes to a charity giveaway. They are in place because when you extrapolate that specific scenario to the extreme, you actually get something I will show you in just a moment. So bringing it all the way back to the Mr. Beast thing is that what he did is many years ago, he had a live stream where he was trying to move a bunch of merchandise, sell a bunch of shirts, and every now and again during the live stream, he would...
It is many years ago, but basically he was doing this every time he hit a major number on subscribers.
Say, hey, people who order shirts in the next X amount of minutes, I'm going to throw in a bonus thing, whether it's a prize or money, into some random person's order. Now, obviously, this means there is a chance, however small it may be, that someone goes, you know what, I really want to win that prize, so I'm going to spend way more money than I should. I'm going to buy the next.
Especially when you're talking about kids, right? I read a review of like a mom who was like, well, you know, my kid was pretty upset. Like, you told him the next 10 orders. He had my credit card waiting. As soon as you said the next 10 orders are going to get like $100 stuck in them, he ordered immediately. Obviously, kids don't understand how many people can order at once or whatever. Then they kept delaying it. They kept pushing it back. They didn't actually pick the next 10 orders. Some random guy, they only picked like 3 or 4. And some mom was like, hey, he really trusted you. He was so upset. I mean, he loves the merch, but he was like so upset when he got here. Maybe you could do a little bit bigger job. The person wasn't being like a Karen. They're like, maybe you could do a little bit better job of explaining this since you have like minors in your chat. I don't think anybody ever responded to her, but there you go. All right, I was just curious about that. Let's read some documents. You want to? Let's get to the real fascinating part of this, okay? The part that's just unreal amounts of excitement, okay? First of all, let's read this. Donald J. Trump on his official Truth Social account, this is what he's saying now. What are the chances that crooked Joe Biden, the worst president in the history of the U.S., whose presidency was unconstitutionally stolen from him by Kamala, Barack Hussein Obama, crazy Nancy Pelosi, shifty Adam Schiff, crying Chuck Schumer, and others on the lunatic left, crashes the DNC and tries to take back the nomination, beginning with challenging me to another debate. So you think that Joe Biden's going to show up like a drunk ex at a wedding and be like, I'm taking it back. Come on, man. I want to do the debates. He feels that he made a historically tragic mistake by handing over the U.S. presidency, a coup, to the people in the world he most hates, and he wants it back now. You are outside of your mind. First of all, there's zero evidence that there was ever a coup. He hasn't handed over the presidency. I don't know what the fuck this is even about, dude. Does he like drunk fucking truth? You know, it used to be drunk tweets or drunk text. Would it? Come on, man. Let's do the debate. How many push-ups can you do? I'm happy to be here at the NDC. What do you think is going to happen? God damn. Anyways, documents. These might be a little boring for you. I don't care. We need to read it. This just came out maybe a week ago, I think. We're going to go through and read them. I might have to refresh them. We're going to go through and read them. This is U.S. Department of Homeland Security, OIG, Office of Inspector General, the Secret Service's preparation for, response to, and the events of January 6th. I do think there's one pretty eye-opening thing in here. Everybody was like, the cops are just letting people in. Did you see? Leading them around like they was on a tour. Wait till you see. Yes, the cops are leading them around in some spots. The same way that you can't always stop a river, you divert it. Or a protest, you take them down certain streets but not others. Try to take them away from houses and towards businesses that have insurance, right? Don't take them to this neighborhood. Instead, take them this way, kind of deal. Don't take them across the interstate. Take them on a side street. Yeah, we all saw it. But the first people who entered obviously broke in. And then when they were completely overwhelmed and knew they couldn't hold them back anymore, they tried to direct them. Wait till you see how close they got to at least the vice president. And the vice president was who they were there for, right? They were saying that Mike Pence was a traitor. Mike Pence should be fucking hung or put in the guillotine. And he let us, even Trump texted out that he didn't do his job. He let us down. Very disappointed in him. That's who they were there for. They would have taken Nancy Pelosi, AOC, any big name on the left, but they were coming for Mike Pence. Office of Inspector General, U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Washington, D.C., 20528. Subject, the Secret Service's preparation for, response to, The events of January 6, 2021, law enforcement sensitive. It is no longer, you see it's struck out law enforcement sensitive. They went through and edited it. It is no longer law enforcement sensitive. Is this like zoomed way too far? Oh, yeah. So it should only be on 100%. That's why it seems so zoomed in. What's going on with my browser here? Like, why the buttons at the bit? They look like one of those jitterbug phones where it's only got like 3 or 4 buttons in case you fall down and you can't get back up. Attached for your action is our final report, the Secret Service preparation for response to the events of January 6, 2021. We incorporated the formal comments provided by your office. The report contains 6 recommendations aimed at improving the Secret Service's policies and processes for planning and responding to similar events. Your office concurred with 4 recommendations and did not concur with 2 recommendations. Based on the information provided in your response to the draft report, we considered recommendations 1, 3, 5, and 6 open and resolved. We consider recommendations 2 and 4 open and unresolved. Once your office has fully implemented the recommendations, please submit a formal request. So it seems like they didn't care about 2 and 4 very much. Please submit a formal closeout letter to us within 30 days so that we may close the recommendations. The memorandum should be accompanied by evidence of completion of agreed upon corrective actions and of the disposition of any monetary amounts. Please send your response or closure requests to OIG inspections follow-up at oig.dhs.gov. Consistent with our responsibility under the Inspector General Act, we will provide copies of our report to congressional committees with oversight and appropriation responsibility over the Department of Homeland Security. We will post a redacted version of the report to our website. Please contact me with any questions, or your staff may contact Thomas Cate, Deputy Inspector General, at 202-981-6000. Attachment. What we found. All right, let's read the blue part. Why we did this. We conducted this review to evaluate the Secret Service's preparation for and response to the events of January 6, 2021. What we recommended. We made 6 recommendations to improve Secret Service's policies and processes for planning and responding to similar events. What we found. The United States Secret Service, the Secret Service, planned and conducted protective operations at several sites on January 6, 2021, including the Capitol, and took actions to assist the United States Capitol Police, the USCP. We initiated this review to evaluate the Secret Service's preparation for and response to the events of January 6, 2021. Our review focused on 3 sites where the Secret Service conducted protective operations or assisted the USCP. By the way, I don't know that they're probably like full battle rattle when they go to the Capitol, right? Usually, the Capitol would be a rather safe place for the vice president to go visit, right? They probably are not ready for like emergency evacuation or active shooter and shit like that at the Capitol, but who knows? We'll see in here. This one I've got right now is watermelon ice. It's about dead. I'm just charging my other one that was blue raz ice, I think, or something. The 3 places where they worked with the Capitol Police, the Ellipse. The Secret Service coordinated all security for President Trump's speech at the Save America rally on the Ellipse. The Capitol. The Secret Service provided security for Vice President Mike Pence's visit to the Capitol, where he was to preside over the certification of Electoral College votes before a joint session of Congress at 1 p.m. The Secret Service also assisted Capitol Police after protesters violently overwhelmed Capitol Police officers and forced their way into the Capitol at 2:13 p.m. Hold on just a second. It's as good as time as any to start taking notes, huh? Let's see. Riders entered Capitol at 2:13 p.m. I can never remember the time. That's a good thing to type down, huh? 1 p.m. 1 p.m. start of joint session to certify elector votes. That'll work. Let's see. Let's change the format. There we go. That was way too big. All right, here we go. The Democratic National Committee building. The Secret Service provided security for Vice President-elect Kamala Harris's visit to the Democratic National Committee building during her visit. The Capitol Police discovered a pop bomb at 1:05 p.m. I can straighten these out later. Discovered by Capitol Police. 1:05 p.m. A pop bomb at 1:05 p.m. while conducting a search following the discovery of a similar device at the Republican National Committee building. The vice president-elect was subsequently evacuated. So, while conducting a search following the discovery of a similar device at the Republican National Committee. So, both the Democratic National Committee, DNC, and RNC buildings had pop bombs at them. Secret Service response. Secret Service officials concurred with 4 of the 6 recommendations. Recommendations 2 and 4 are considered unresolved and opened, and recommendations 1, 3, and 5, 1, 3, 5, and 6 are considered resolved and open. So 2 and 4 are still unresolved. Then we got the table of contents, which isn't going to matter much for us. We're going to read the whole fucking thing. Here are some abbreviations for you. CAT, Counter Assault Team. CDU, Civil Disturbance Unit. DNC, Democratic National Committee. EOD, Explosive Ordnance. FBI. INA is Office of Intelligence and Analysis. MPD is a Metropolitan Police Department. OPO is Office of Protective Operations. Office of Protective Operations. PID is Protective Intelligence Assessment Division and Assessment Division. TSD is Technical Security Division. UPE is Unusual Protective Event. UPE will come up a bunch, and it's Unusual Protective Event. The Capitol Police is USCP, and USSS is Secret Service. Background. Let's do this. I need a column there. On January 6, 2021, thousands of individuals gathered in Washington, D.C. to protest a joint session of Congress to certify the results of the 2020 Electoral College vote. Approximately 28,000 people attended the Save America rally. Rally on the White House Ellipse, where President Donald Trump and others spoke. Crowds from the Ellipse then marched to the U.S. Capitol, where they joined other demonstrators. So while the speech was going on, there were already people upset and at the Capitol building. Not a huge group, right? But there were already people there while Trump was still speaking. Not a huge group. A lot of people came from his rally, but there were people already there set up. Maybe they fucking knew something was going to happen. Who knows? Crowds from the Ellipse then marched to the U.S. Capitol, where they joined other demonstrators. There, rioters attacked law enforcement, breached barricades, and broke into the Capitol building. During the attack, several thousand people breached the Capitol. Several thousand people. I would like to get a more firm number. Several thousand people breached the Capitol. threatening the security of members of Congress and the vice president. Over the course of several hours, the attack on the Capitol resulted in assaults on approximately 140 police officers. Damn. It was all peaceful from what I saw on the news, guys. Oh, God. I'm going to have to get Notepad spell check going here. Get Grammarly fired up or something. 140 police officers and nearly 3 million in damage. That is a million, right? 3 million in damage. Sorry, I'm typing some of this too. I'm going to compile a couple of folders here for when we argue with retards. When they're like, that was an inside job. 3 million in damage. We know all this. I just want the accurate numbers so somebody can say I'm fucking making them up or guessing or whatever. If you're the type of person who doesn't fucking believe this happened, no, this isn't the show for you. 3 million in damage. In addition, one rider was fatally shot by U.S. Capitol Police, USCP officer, and 3 USCP officers died following the attack. Following the attack, one demonstrator died. And there was one meth overdose too, right? From a meth overdose. One demonstrator died, Ashley Babbitt. One demonstrator died from a meth overdose. Later discovered later revealed from a meth overdose. Got it. Was fatally shot by U.S. Capitol Police officer, and 3 USCP officers died following the attack. Meanwhile, a few blocks from the Capitol, the USCP discovered viable pop bombs placed near the exterior of the Democratic National Committee and the Republican National Committee. Now, these are tagged here. Our review addressed the device, the DNC building, because of Secret Service's role in protecting the vice president or the vice president-elect during her visit to RNC. One USCP police officer died on the day after the attack. 2 died by suicide in subsequent days. Okay. Let's see. This will be 1 day after, 2 by later. 2 by suicide later. That's just the notes that are added to the bottom. So the only reason they're going over the DNC, they want to say the only reason we're going over the DNC device and not the RNC device is because we were on site with the this is just the Secret Service, right? Not Capitol Police. We were on site for the DNC one because we were there for the vice president-elect. That we didn't have anybody to protect the RNC one, right? I don't know why people would be like, I guess this isn't a show for me. This is factually what happened. I don't know what do you want me to do? Say none of it did? They were all Antifers. Ooga booga. Them damn immigrants come across the border and went right to our capital. Viable pop bombs placed near discovered viable. I want to add that. Because everybody says they weren't. They were inert devices, and they were placed there. They were. We never hear anything else about them. I don't think they've ever caught the people. The people were masked. They come in like early in the morning, placed them. They saw them on camera, right? But I don't think they've ever caught them. what happened here was a fucking tragedy for the United States, for democracies worldwide, for I don't know how else to put it. Nothing gets me in the insurrection mood like meth. It happens. United States Secret Service, USSS, planned and conducted protective operations at several sites on January 6, including the Capitol, and took actions to assist the U.S. Capitol Police. We initiated this review to evaluate the Secret Service's preparation for and response to the events of January 6, 2021. Our review focused on 3 sites where the Secret Service conducted protective operations or assisted the USCP. So anywhere they were protecting somebody, or because there could have been other people, other Secret Service agents in different places, anywhere they protected people or helped with the Capitol Police. Okay? The Ellipse. The Secret Service coordinated all security for President Trump's speech at the Save America rally on the Ellipse. I think it's just, I don't know. It's almost like even the name, the Save America rally. Right, you knew what you were doing when you called them up there and said be in D.C. is going to be wild, and this is their chance to save America if Mike Pence does the right thing. The Capitol. The Secret Service provided security for Vice President Michael Pence's visit to the Capitol, where he was to preside over the certification of the Electoral College votes before a joint session of Congress at 1 p.m. The Secret Service also assisted USCP after protesters violently overwhelmed USCP officers and forced their way into the Capitol at 2:13 p.m. Secret Service, I'll just copy this and paste it. That's a good sentence to remember that the Secret Service was helping as well. At 2:13 p.m. I've heard people say, I don't believe nothing that happened on January 6th. We've all been lied to our whole lives. We watched it. Come on. People that I used to watch stream, back at the time that I supported, that I thought were here to fucking support and do better and with save America or what, were some of the ones kicking in fucking windows and shit. The DNC building. The Secret Service provided security for Vice President-elect Kamala Harris' visit to the DNC. During her visit, U.S. Capitol Police, so the Capitol Police discovered the pot bomb at 1:05. Capitol Police at 1:05, I got that one. While conducting a search following the discovery of a similar device at the Republican National Committee building. 1:05 p.m. Search after discovering similar device at RNC building. Got it. The vice president-elect was subsequently evacuated at, and it doesn't say. Figure 1 shows the locations of these 3 sites where the Secret Service was responsible for protective operations for the president, the vice president, and vice president-elect on January 6th. So we have the Ellipse up here, obviously, protecting he's the president. We have the Capitol, which is the vice president-elect. And we have the DNC building, which is the vice president-elect. We're at both. These buildings are pretty close, but she was at both of these at different times. This is from the Department of Homeland Security, Office of Inspector General, generated map data. As part of this review, we developed a detailed timeline, see Figure 2, of major events and action. Oh, I want this. And actions related to Secret Service's protective operation on January 6th. The timeline includes information relevant to 5 areas covered in this report: Secret Service intelligence leading up to January 6th, the rally at the Ellipse, protecting the vice president of the Capitol, and assisting the USCP, and protecting the vice president-elect of the DNC. Ooh, can I? We just need to save this. Let me grab this. Secret Service report. And then I'll grab this whole link. from here. And if I take that link and let me make sure the link works. Yes, it does. Okay. So we're going to read the timeline. Give me just a second. Okay, here we go. Timeline. December 31st, 2020. Intel. Secret Service Protective Intelligence and Assessment Division, USSS, PID, produces and distributes the March for Trump Protective Intelligence Brief regarding the demonstrations planned for January 6. January 1st. Ellipse. Secret Service personnel received notification that White House staff have added the rally at the Ellipse as an in-town visit to the president's schedule. January 3rd, 2 days later. Ellipse. The Secret Service participate in a coordination to call for DHS law enforcement components led by the DHS Office of Operations Coordination to review and share information about the potential civil unrest in Washington, D.C., and coordinate security planning to identify any operational gaps. So on January 3rd, they were going back and forth with DHS and between the Secret Service. Secret Service is technically under DHS. They're going back and forth with DHS law enforcement components and the Secret Service saying this is the potential unrest. The next day, the DNC. The Secret Service confirms the Vice President-elect will visit the DNC building on January 6th. January 4th also. Ellipse, the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police Department, MPD, leads a coordination call to discuss permits filed for various demonstrations on January 6th. Participants included the Secret Service, the U.S. Park Police, U.S. Capitol Police, and other partners. Same day. Intel. USSS, the Secret Service, PID, produces and distributes an updated version of the March for Trump Protective Intelligence Brief, reflecting Washington, D.C. road closures in anticipation of the event. So they were getting ready to close roads to make it safer for people and the president. Something, deep state, the Secret Service is lying. There you go. January 4th also. Ellipse. The Secret Service officials complete advanced security documents for the Ellipse event. So if you don't know, they're going to have a fucking whole goddamn folder. What road's going to be closed down, what team's here, what team's there, where are evacuation plans, where are our closest hospitals, what do we do if there's a shot but it's a miss, what do we do if somebody's hit, what if we do with this, what if we do, they got a whole plan, right? A binder. Binders, I've got binders of women. Who was that? They had the binders and binders of women. January 5th, the next day. Secret Service PID sends an email update indicating a significant increase in planned participants at the Ellipse. They're saying we're going now from 1,500 individuals to 30,000 individuals, okay? So they made their plan yesterday, road closures yesterday, talked with Homeland Security yesterday, but their intelligence sends an email indicating a significant increase, that instead of having what they thought would be 1,500 people, they're going to have 30,000. And this is the day before it happens. Okay, so for whatever reason, up until this point, they were thinking 1,500 people. The day before, it just gets dropped on them 30,000. Actually, closer to 31,000 people are going to be there. Intel. The Secret Service PID distributes a report titled Notable Trends and Tactics for Consideration Ahead of Potential Civil Unrest in the National Capital Region. Okay. Notable trends and tactics. So here are the trends we expect and the tactics we expect them to use if there's civil unrest in the Capitol. January 5th, same day. DNC, the Secret Service advanced team for the Vice President-elect's visit to the DNC building conducts a walkthrough of the facility. So day before they had a walkthrough. I wonder if some of the Federal Intelligence Department is their narrow focus. Insurrectionists were all for Trump. But if they had done social media polls on people attending and the rhetoric said, they might have figured that there could be a big event that happened. I don't know. I just don't think anybody expected them to actually storm the Capitol. As much rhetoric is out there. And I know, when was Trump's text did he text out on the 5th where he's like, being DC is going to be wild? When was that text? Hold on. That might have been way earlier. Never mind. That might have been like in December or early January. Well, I guess late December. Yeah, it was December, I think. At 1:42 a.m. on December 19th, shortly after a 6-hour Oval Office meeting described by a White House aide as unhinged, Donald Trump sent a tweet that would galvanize his followers and unleash a political firestorm and change the course of our history as a country. In the words of Representative Jamie Raskin from Maryland, statistically impossible to have lost the 2020 election, Trump tweeted, even after he had heard from many of his top political and legal advisors that he had in fact lost. Big protest in D.C. on January 6th, he wrote, referring to the day Congress was set to formally certify Joe Biden's victory in the Electoral College. Be there will be wild. On Tuesday, the Congressional Select Committee investigated January 6, 2022 attack on the U.S. Capitol, laid out their argument that Trump's tweet played a key role in fomenting that day. So it might have been from the 19th that actually happened. Let's check this out while we're reading.
Followers took to social media to declare that they were ready to answer Trump's call. One user asked, is the 6th D-Day? Is that why Trump wants everyone there? Another asserted, Trump just told us all to come armed. Fucking A, this is happening. A third took it even further. It will be wild means we need volunteers for the firing squad. Jim Watkins, the owner of 8kun, the fringe online forum that was birthplace of the QAnon extremist movement, confirmed the importance of Trump's tweet.
Why did you first decide to go to D.C. for January 6th?
When the President of the United States announced that he was going to have a rally, then I bought a ticket and went.
Watkins was at the Capitol on January 6th. Some who have since been indicted for their involvement in the attack on the Capitol also responded. One of them posted on the 19th, quote, calling all patriots, be in Washington, D.C., January the 6th. This wasn't organized by any group. DJT has invited us, and it's going to be wild. Some of the online rhetoric turned openly homicidal and white nationalist, such as, why don't we just kill them, every last Democrat, down to the last man, woman, and child? And it's time for the day of the rope. White revolution is the only solution. Others realized that police would be standing in the way of their effort to overturn the election. So one wrote, I'm ready to die for my beliefs. Are you ready to die, police? Another wrote on the Donald.win, cops don't have standing if they're laying on the ground in a pool of their own blood.
God damn, dude. This is on the Donald.win. So the Donald's was a subreddit, and the subreddit got banned. So the crazier people from that subreddit went to the Donald.win. I don't know if the website's still up, but it's all dedicated. It's all dedicated to the Donald Trump. The Donald.win. I'm sure it probably is. Somebody still hosting it, unless they got banned. Forbidden Error. They might have lost their hosting.
The Donald.win was an openly racist and anti-Semitic forum. The Select Committee deposed that site's founder, Jody Williams. He confirmed how the president's tweet created a laser-like focus on the date of January the 6th.
I mean, people have been talking about going to D.C. as soon as the election was over.
And do you recall whether or not the conversation around those dates centered on the 6th after the president's tweet?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, after it was announced that, he was going to be there on the 6th to talk, yes, then anything else was kind of shut out, and it was just going to be on the 6th.
Okay. And that was pretty clearly reflected in the content on the site?
Yeah, sure.
On that site,
every claim that I've seen of this person was Antifa and was there on January 6th has been unmasked as actual Trump supporters. Every time that they were dressed in something weird or they did this, except for the one guy that went there to record it, that everybody's like, who's Antifa? That black guy, what was his name? Every other post I've ever fucking seen of like, look at these people changing. This person put on a MAGA hat. This person does this. Every fucking one of those has been a Trump supporter that I've seen. exposed.
Many shared plans and violent threats. Bring handcuffs and wait near the tunnels, wrote one user. A commenter replied, suggesting zip ties instead. One post encouraged others to come with body armor, knuckles, shields, bats, pepper spray, whatever it takes. All of those were used on the 6th. The post concluded, join your local Proud Boys chapter as well. The Donald.win featured discussions of the tunnels beneath the Capitol complex, suggestions for targeting members of Congress, and encouragement to attend this once-in-a-lifetime event. While Trump supporters grew more aggressive online, he continued to rile up his base on Twitter.
Damn.
He said there was overwhelming evidence that the election was the biggest scam in our nation's history. As you can see, the president continued to boost the event, tweeting about it more than a dozen times in the lead up to January the 6th.
Damn. John Sullivan is the one I was thinking of. John Sullivan is there recording at the very front of this shit. Knew it was going to be wild. Had the recording for it. I think sold the footage too. One of them was that Connie bitch. That Connie bitch is the one who threw on all the paramilitary gear and shit and was changing out into all black paramilitary. She was one of them that was charged for changing clothes that day and was exposed. And they were claiming, oh, that's Antifa clothes. That's Antifa clothes. What? Anyways, back to it. Conducts a walk through the facility. That's the last thing we read. January 5th, also. A Secret Service agent assigned for the president's motorcade emails other assigned drivers that there is an unconfirmed rumor of a possible presidential move to the Capitol following the event at the Ellipse. So Trump is they're hearing rumors. They're hearing rumors and they're talking to each other saying, there might be a detour. Trump might be going to the Capitol after his speech. January 5th, 2021, same day. The FBI Norfolk Field Office transmits a bulletin about online discussions of potential violence on January 6th. That includes a thread stating, be ready to fight. Congress needs to hear breaking glass or glass breaking. Doors being kicked in. Stop calling this a march or rally or protest. Go there ready for war. The Secret Service does not receive this document at the DNC. An unidentified individual places a pipe bomb near a bench outside of the DNC. That was on January 5th. Hold on. Let's do this. Placed Jan 5 at 7:49 p.m. I was thinking it was in the morning for some reason. Placed Jan 5, 7:49 p.m. Okay. January 6th, the morning of 8:07 a.m. Secret Service agents assigned to monitor the crowds outside of the secure areas for threats report people wearing ballistic helmets and body armor and carrying radio equipment and military-grade backpacks waiting to go through the magnetometers. Am I saying that right? Now I've hyped myself up about it. The main magnetometers. 8:30. DNC scheduled start time for Secret Service K-9 teams to begin their sweep of the DNC building. 9:40. Within the secure area, a concerned citizen reports an individual removing nunchucks from his pants leg and placing them inside his jacket. So there's a guy with a set of nunchucks. If you don't know, nunchucks are illegal in a lot of places. I'm pretty sure they're probably in D.C. Could someone look that up? 10:09. Capitol. The vice president-elect arrives at the Capitol. Okay. I don't need to type anything out from the timeline. I was getting ready to type that. 1011, ellipse. The Protective Intelligence Operations Center reports over 10,500 individuals have been processed through the magnetometers, with several thousand still waiting to be screened. So 10,000 people are already been screened. Okay. 1030, DNC. Scheduled end time for Secret Service canine teams to complete their sweep of the DNC building at 10:30 a.m. 1105, ellipse. Reports indicate that approximately 25,000 individuals have been processed through the magnetometers. 1122, at the DNC. The vice president-elect departs the Capitol for the DNC building. So she was at the Capitol earlier, but she goes to the DNC building before everything starts about the voting and electors and shit starts. 11:23 a.m. Ellipse. The U.S. Park Police advises over its radio channel of possible armed individuals, one with a Glock and one with a rifle, the location of 14th and 15th Streets and Constitutional Avenue. 11:25. Possible armed individuals, by the way. Possible. 11:25. DNC. The Secret Service motorcade escorting the vice president-elect arrives at the DNC. 11:39 a.m. The ellipse. The president departs the White House en route to the ellipse for his speech at 11:39 a.m. 11:41. The president arrives at the ellipse. It's just across the lawn there. 11:58. The president takes the stage to begin remarks at the ellipse. 12. 2 minutes later. A report is shared over Secret Service radio channels of individuals located in trees. One of the individuals has a pistol on his hip. On the Secret Service radio channel. 12:37 p.m. 37 minutes later. The vice president arrives at the Capitol building. Not Kamala Harris, but Mike Pence. The vice president arrives. 2 minutes later. Capitol. The vice president's motorcade parks on the Capitol Plaza. More than 100 protesters can be seen behind bike racks with some Capitol police officers guarding the barricades. 5 minutes later, at the DNC, U.S. Capitol Police investigates a pipe bomb discovered at the Republican National Committee building. So that was covered at 12:44. Similar at the RNC building at 12:44 p.m. The other one was discovered at 1:05. This one, 12:44. So, 20 minutes apart between the two to being discovered. Capitol. Demonstrator at 12:53. Demonstrators breach the Capitol's outer perimeter and engage the Capitol police officers at 12:35 p.m. That's the bike racks. They breached the outer perimeter at 12:35. And engaged U.S. Capitol Police. 101. Assistance to Capitol Police. The Secret Service Uniform Division Chief texts the Capitol Police Chief offering assistance if needed. The Capitol Police Chief accepts, writing, "I will take whatever you can send." 105, DNC. The Capitol Police identifies a second pipe bomb on the outside of the DNC building. A second pipe bomb total, the first one at the DNC. 111, the president concludes his remarks. So let's do this. At 1, Trump's speech ends. Got it. 112. Groups begin to move from the Ellipse event towards the Capitol. We have one blocked out, but it's marked in red. So this is something to do with Kamala Harris after they found the pipe bomb. And it's between 1:12 and 1:16. They found the pipe bomb at 1:05. So within like the next 10 minutes, something happens with Kamala Harris that we can't see. 1:16 p.m. The president enters his limousine to depart the Ellipse event and return to the White House. I think that, Jilly's mom, I think that the pipe bombs are a huge fucking negative mark on all the law enforcement, and they are trying so fucking hard. Like, everybody's like, oh, they don't want to find them because it was this person or that person, or they did it themselves, or they didn't exist. I think that it's a huge negative mark, makes them look like dumbasses, and they are probably trying their hardest to find out who placed fucking pipe bombs there. And usually shit like that eventually comes out. Somebody will say something, somebody will snitch, word of mouth comes around. And even if we can't charge somebody, we usually get rumors about it. Pretty heavy rumors. Yeah, it seems like he was probably trained we can watch him. Hold on. Suspect, pipe bomb suspect, video released. Damn, I wish it wasn't so small. Hold on, I'll zoom in for you. Let me start it over. So he's got this bag, he's got a mask, he's got a hoodie on, he's got gloves on. Walking there. And then here he is. He sits down there with his bag, right? He sits down with his bag, acts like he's taking a break, wipes his fucking mouth or whatever, leaves a pipe bomb behind. This says the devices were placed between 7:30 p.m. and 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Everybody's saying he's a Fed. Help us identify this individual. Oh, I can take this down now. That's him walking there. He definitely is. It definitely seems like he's making sure nobody's following him. Nobody's fucking singled him out. He's not being followed around or chased or nothing. Pretty leisurely walk, hanging out, doing his thing. He sets his bag down. He sets down a couple different times. Adjusts his shit, moves it around. You guys can't see it right now for the chat, but here you go. That's him. Adjusting his shit, moving stuff around. Checking out his environment. Lets this guy that was walking behind him pass. And here they are at the bench. I think this is where he places one, right? And the camera is being blocked by this, but I think this is where he places one. Been a long time since we watched it. But honestly, nobody be looking for this, right? You can't tell if he's going through his bag. You don't see anything out of the crazy. He isn't raising a lot of suspicion. He's just, I know now looking at him, we're like, oh my God, is he doing it right now? I could see it plain as day. It looks like he's pulling some out, but that's not what you're thinking when it's just a random fucking person. You know what I'm saying? Not to mention the stuff with, mention the stuff with COVID and shit like that. The mask and hiding his face, easy to hide. I think it'd be less suspicious if he would have held his bag in a different way. Like if he'd have thrown one strap on, and just been walking around. nonchalant, stretching, yawning, whatever he's doing. Looks like he's just out for a walk. That was even cops. He yawns like he's not doing, stretches, yawns as the cops are driving by. Right? It's like a disarming tactic, right? If the cops drive by and you turn real quick and fucking act like you're looking in the bushes, kicking something on the ground, won't make eye contact. It's another thing if the cops are walking by and you're like stretching, like you just woke up or you're tired or you've been on a walk, you're fucking loosening up and shit. Here come the police. He's stretching the whole time he passes this cop. There you go. I think that's all the footage they've released. If there's more, I don't know about it, but there you go. Back to it. The president enters his limousine to depart the Ellipse event and return to the White House. Simultaneously, two things happen. A senior Secret Service official from the Secret Service Office of Protective Operations sends an email to the president's detail leader informing him that Capitol Police are having serious challenges securing the Capitol. So this is the first time that Trump's going to hear, like, they're having, like, the fucking shit's going wild over there. They can't get this at 1:19 p.m. Shit's gone wild over there. They're having a real hard time securing the Capitol. It's kind of a mess. The email advises against an off-the-record movement. What is an off-the-record movement? It's not in his schedule, and he's saying, I want to go here, right? And it's off the record because they didn't plan it. It's not on his itinerary. No one knows he's going there. Sometimes Secret Service will accommodate these, right? He says, I want to go get fucking ice cream. Sometimes they won't. They can't. The email advises against an off-the-record movement to or even near the Capitol. At the same time, the president arrives inside the West Wing of the White House. Something happens with Kamala Harris is blocked out again. 149. Assistant to the Capitol Police, the Secret Service Uniform Division Chief, convenes a virtual chat with the Uniform Division Assistant and Deputy Chiefs. According to a Deputy Chief whose branch subsequently provides assistance to the Capitol, participants on the chat eventually determine what assistance the Secret Service will provide to the Capitol. So this is like a, we need help. Here's what you could provide for us if you can, and they get a game plan up. Simultaneously, assistant to the U.S. Capitol Police, U.S. Capitol Police issues a call for assistance to all agencies via the Police Mutual Aid radio system. So the Capitol Police calls for assistance from all agencies on their mutual aid radio system. At the same time, the president's detail leader replies to an email from senior Secret Service OPO official that there will be no off-the-record movement to the Capitol. So he gets this and says, Capitol Police are struggling to secure it. We strongly advise against doing this. We've heard rumors about it. We strongly advise against it. The detail leader goes back and says, we are not moving to the Capitol. Now, something happens with Mike Pence here. Then at between 155 and 159, something happens we don't see. And then at 159, Capitol. Protesters storm through the plaza after previous attempts to breach the barricade. Something else happens with Mike Pence here we're not privy to. And then at 2:12, 12 minutes after the last one, 13 minutes, Capitol. The vice president moves from the Senate floor where he's at, right? He's the president of the Senate. He moves to the Senate floor to he has an office there. Vice president's office, the president of the Senate. He has an office there. And he moves to his office, which is a more secure location than just being on the floor. 2:13, rioters breach the Capitol building. 2:15, rioters access the second floor of the Senate wing near the vice president's office. And when they say near the vice president's office, they almost got him. Another thing happens is blacked out. Another thing happens is blacked out. 2:27, which would be, 12 minutes after they breached the second floor. Assistant to the USCP, Secret Service, CDU officers depart the White House en route to the Capitol. 2:35, assistants to the U.S. Capitol Police, Uniform Division officers arrive at the Capitol. According to the official leading the team, their role is initially to assist with the vice president's evacuation. But blank eventually joins the Secret Service CDU officers at the Durskin building. So they're supposed to be going there to evacuate the vice president out of there. But something happens, and they end up just joining in the fight, right, to keep the protesters out and away. 2:38. Secret Service CDU officers arrive at the Capitol. 2:47. Secret Service CDU officers enter the Dirksen building. Dirksen. I said it wrong earlier. Durskin. It's a Dirksen. Dirksen. Capitol. The Vice President's detail notifies the Secret Service Operations Center of the decision to remain where they're at with the Capitol. So Mike Pence did not want to leave, and once they saw what was going on outside and didn't really have the best plan to get him out of there, they never expected the Capitol to be breached. They decided to lock him down. There's safe rooms, there's bunkers, there's shit in the Capitol. You guys know that, and we're not going to know about them, but he was probably in a hardened room by now. Capitol. Additional operators from the Secret Service counter-assault team arrive at the Capitol. 340. That was at 3:26. 3:45. A Secret Service Uniform Division official and two Secret Service OPO officials arrive at the Capitol Police's command center. According to those three officials, their role at the command center includes coordinating the components, the Secret Service CDU response, monitoring the Vice President's movement, and maintaining direct communication between the Secret Service and the Capitol Police. So they go to these four individuals. I think it's 2 and 2. No, 3 individuals. They go to the command center for the Capitol Police, and their job is to coordinate the Secret Service that are helping the Capitol Police and make sure everybody can communicate. 3:47, 2 minutes later, the head of the Secret Service PID sends an email to the Secret Service director incorrectly estimating that the Secret Service has provided 100 personnel to assist the Capitol Police and will be deploying another 100 in the next few hours. So that's an incorrect assessment. We'll read that in the report. 6 o'clock. So we jump from 3:47 all the way to 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Capitol Police advise that the Capitol is clear of unauthorized persons and requests Secret Service canine teams to assist in multiple security sweeps, right? Got to make sure everybody's out of here. 6:30. The Secret Service deploys canine teams, however many, canine teams to assist the Capitol Police with security sweeps across the Capitol complex. So it took them 30 minutes to get some dogs there. 7:01. The Vice President moves back to his Senate office. So we know that he moved from the chamber to his office to an undisclosed location. That was a hard room of some sort, right? Then he goes back, not to the floor, and he goes back to his office, so we know he didn't remain in the office. 8:05. The Vice President enters the Senate chamber to resume proceedings. 8:08. All Secret Service CDU teams leave the Dirksen building and prepare to return to the White House or place of duty. Hold on. Let's do this. So the Dirksen building, from where they were mobilizing out of, is basically, here's Google Maps. The Dirksen building, where they were mobilizing out of and everybody was reporting to, is over here across the street. It's basically the Senate offices, right? United States Senate office. It's right here, okay? It is right here, and the Capitol is right here. Right, here's the Capitol Plaza and all the stuff going on at the Capitol. So they were mobilizing, set up, and moving out of this building here down on the Capitol and doing whatever they could do to assist. 3:51 a.m. So the next morning, this is technically January 7th, but 3:51 in the morning, it says the Vice President departs the Capitol en route to his residence. He's going home for the night. All right, here we go. Relevant Secret Service divisions for January 6 events. The Secret Service protects the president, vice president, and other protectees and ensures the safety and security of key locations and events of national significance. Damn it, why didn't you open? Namely, the Office of Protective Operations, the Protective Intelligence and Assessment Division, the PID, and the Technical Security Division, TSD. Office of Protective Operations. The Office of Protective Operations has more than 1,000 special agents and more than 1,500 uniformed division officers to carry out its mission. So 2,500, 1,000 special agents and 1,500 like patrol, like beat cops, uniformed officers to carry out its mission. The OPO, protective activities, are organized into several divisions. They got the Presidential Protective Division, protects the president and members of the first family. The Vice President Division protects the vice president and members of the second family. The Dignitary Protective Division protects foreign heads of state visiting the United States and protects major presidential and vice presidential candidates. So the division that protects the sitting president is not the same division that protects the candidates or the president and vice president elects. That's how so the president always has his detail. The vice president. So if let's say we have 100 people protecting the president, when we get a president-elect or a candidate that's got so much of the vote that we know they're going to be the opposite candidate or whatever, we don't take from that 100 and only give them 60 and give 40 to the candidate. We take from the pool that would cover like foreign dignitaries coming in, right? If the fucking queen comes over or some shit, we take from that pool and put them down on the elects and the candidates. Uniform division. So they also have a uniform division which performs day-to-day security operations at the White House. These are the people you see in the tactical vests and the pants. They look like soldiers. They're with K-9 unit. They're walking around with the rifles. They're patrolling the outside. That is the uniform division. They do operations in the White House, Treasury Building, Vice President's residence, foreign diplomatic missions in Washington, D.C. region, and other protected sites. So you'll see that they're the guys out walking around with their rifles, walking around with their fucking pistols and K-9 unit, all that stuff, right? They're the cops of the Secret Service. Protective Intelligence and Assessment Division, the PID. The PID supports protective operations by analyzing information, investigating threats, assessing risks. This is their intelligence. And disseminating protective intelligence information. The PID guides and coordinates protective intelligence investigations when Secret Service is alerted to individuals who may pose a threat to protectees or protective sites. The division analyzes, evaluates, disseminates, and maintains incoming information about individual groups and activities, both foreign and domestic, that pose a potential threat to protectees or key locations, such as the White House. The PID also develops briefings, assessments, and trainings about vulnerabilities, trends, and tactics seen at events that may inform future protective operations. The PID has a collaborative relationship with partners like the FBI to support protective operations. According to senior officials, PID will share intelligence and information with law enforcement partners as needed. PID also runs a 24-hour protective intelligence operations center to continuously monitor incoming threats. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, there's intelligence for the Secret Service. Technical Security Division, the TSD. It's responsible for all technical security in advance of travel by the president and vice president and other protectees when authorized. Technical security includes, for example, chemical, biological, radiological, and explosive countermeasures, right? So the tech that keeps them safe, that's the technical division. That'd be a cool job. This will also help us learn the different parts and what their roles are when we're talking about the attempted assassination that happened in Butler, right? But the technical division does all the tech that keeps them safe ahead of time. They're not going to be like, you need a robot when this guy comes running with a field robot that he assembles under fire, right? They send shit out. They're like the tech guys, almost like a James Bond film where he goes and sees a scientist and he's like, well, we got this flower that, shoots a laser out that could trim your hair or whatever. That's those people. The division supports canine explosive detection operations by directing the location of canine sweeps and facilitating other support for canine teams. So it says they support canine stuff, but they're not the dog handlers. They direct the location. So they analyze where would be the best place for somebody to put explosives, or an easy place, or a decent place. They analyze the location, then they direct the. Oh shit! What just happened?
Why don't you come bring it at me? Set everybody else.
Oh, you know what? Screw you, Nick. That's not even funny. I'm not an asshole. You're an asshole for doing this right here. Karma's a bitch, Nick. Karma's a bitch. Okay? Don't do it again. Don't do it again. I'll hide your baby from you in a heartbeat. Got me demonetized on YouTube now? Thank you. Thank you, asshole. So they analyze where the sweeps are going to be for the K9 teams. Thank you for the donation. Anyways, results of the review. The Secret Service planned for routine protective operations at the White House Ellipse, the U.S. Capitol, and the DNC building on January 6, 2021. You always plan for routine operations. Although Secret Service did not anticipate or plan for the level of violence that ultimately occurred that day, the Secret Service took actions to respond to and mitigate the threats it encountered, avoid any harm to its protectees, and assist the U.S. Capitol Police. Leading up to the January 6th, the Secret Service prepared 2 threat assessments that did not convey a high potential for violence on January 6th. 2 different threat assessments, both of them did not say, hey, we've got this high chance of violence. They didn't say we had no chance of violence. They just weren't predicting what it was going to be. The Secret Service anticipated that the planned Ellipse rally would be like previous pro-Trump rallies that took place in November and December of 2020. At those events, there was some violence, but those events mainly involved opposing demonstration groups, right? So you have like anti-Trump versus pro-Trump groups and some violence. And did not have a high potential to impact protective operations. So yeah, that sucks that the Trump people are fighting the Antifa people and the Black Lives Matter people or whatever, but that really doesn't have anything to do with the Secret Service protecting Trump or Pence or Biden or Kamala, right? That doesn't really have anything to do with it. Trump said her name wrong so many times, I'm doing it. It doesn't really have anything to do with their protectees. However, at the White House Ellipse rally, Secret Service personnel observed indicators of potential for violence outside of the secure area. This included numerous individuals wearing body armor, communicating via radios, climbing trees, and avoiding entry to a secure area. So one of the biggest signs that you'll see that there's this huge potential for something to pop off is when you have a huge crowd going somewhere and you have security checkpoints, magnetometers, security checkpoints, bag checks or whatever, and the people can't see them. I've had this happen before out on missions before. The people can't see that you got a security checkpoint, and they're going with the crowd. When someone gets, you always station a guy near the security checkpoint where he can see if someone walks up, not being able to see the security checkpoint, sees it, and then turns around. Those guys are clearly hiding something. Very few people are going to be like, let's go to this rally. I'm excited. I can't wait to go to a rally. Yay, Trump. They're like, security. I'm not going through that. Psh, I'm not waiting. Damn it.
Fox cheered X666.
That's the forbidden number.
For reference, this is how hairy my butt is right now.
Pancakes! Well, that was different. That's been a long time since that's the forbidden number. So, thank you for the donation. So, you always have a guy maybe 30 yards away from the security checkpoint looking for people who just want to come up, that look, and then they turn away because they've got something in their bag. They're planning something. They're not just saying, "Oh, I'm allergic to magnetometers, so I got to go back home today," right? Like, they're obviously doing something. TSA does the same thing. When they watch people come up to get on a flight and go through the security checkpoint and then they turn around and go to the bathroom, they're doing something. DUI checkpoints. Sometimes police will put DUI last exit before DUI checkpoint, and then they'll just look for people like panic, like turning on that road, and fuck it, they'll pull those people over. Anyways, it says they were avoiding entry to secure area where they would have to pass through the magnetometers. When the president requested to go to the Capitol following his speech at the rally, the president's detail leader said that going to the Capitol was infeasible and the motorcade had to return to the White House. I don't know. Why did Trump want to go to the Capitol? I think that's a bad look. If you lost and you doing this speech saying, stop the steal, we're going to stop them, Mike Pence is going to do the right thing, I think it's a bad look to go to the Capitol like you're putting pressure on them, right? Like you're there just to like, you better do the right thing or I'm right here. I got my guys here too. I don't think he wanted to go to calm anybody down. I know that's what he'll probably say. I was going to tell him to be peaceful. I like hanging out with my blue collar Joes. I think it's a bad look. At the Capitol, the Secret Service treated the vice president's visit as a standard visit, which included, we don't get to see that part. Even so, the Secret Service secured the vice president during the breach of the Capitol, but there were some near encounters with rioters. The Secret Service considered evacuating the vice president to his residence, but he did not want to leave, and the protective detail eventually considered their location on the Capitol grounds secure. All right? So there clearly is, they wouldn't have put this in the report if what the protectee wanted didn't have any fucking bearing on the decision making, right? I'm not saying it's the number one factor. Like that we used to tuck and chuck people all the fucking time, right? But it has some bearing on it. It has to, or they wouldn't have put it in the report. After violence erupted at the Capitol, the Secret Service Uniform Division Chief offered to assist the U.S. Capitol Police and sent blank officers to assist. The process of identifying White House personnel available for deployment while maintaining security at the White House resulted in an 80-minute delay before personnel were deployed. So it took them an hour and 20 minutes to get anybody deployed there because they're like, wait, we can't send everybody. We have to have at least this person at the White House. We have to have people at the White House. So who can we send? And it took them an hour and 20 minutes to get that together. These officers provided security for members of Congress and staffers sheltering in the Dirksen Senate office building. Meanwhile, at the DNC building, the Secret Service evacuated the vice president-elect after the U.S. Capitol Police discovered a pop bomb. The pop bomb had been placed near the building the night before, but Secret Service personnel did not identify it during their security sweep on the morning of January 6th. The vice president-elect, traveling in an armored vehicle with her motorcade, entered the building via ramp within 20 feet of the pop bomb and was in the building for approximately an hour and 40 minutes before the pop bomb was discovered, and she was subsequently evacuated. The Secret Service did not discover the pop bomb. Instead, a pair of U.S. Capitol Police officers discovered it while conducting a patrol after a similar pop bomb was found at the RNC committee building a few blocks away. The Secret Service had not employed all its explosive detection tactics and measures for the security sweep, instead providing only canine teams at the DNC building that day. Afterward, the Secret Service did not report the building's evacuation as an unusual protective event as required by its policies. So they're saying they violated their own policies because this pop bomb's an unusual event. They didn't report that as an unusual event. More than a year later, the Secret Service initiated and completed an update to its policies to address gaps in its processes that may have contributed to the failure to discover the pop bomb. 183,000 emails and attachments from the select Secret Service personnel and conducted analytical searches of those emails. We also reviewed Secret Service video from the Ellipse and U.S. Capitol Police video from the Capitol complex and cameras located near the DNC building. It says, in addition, we obtained, that's what I skipped, PID's assessment about January 6th did not convey a high potential for violence. The Secret Service protective mission relies heavily upon maintaining awareness of intelligence and information. In advance of January 6th, PID prepared 2 reports that contained assessments about the likelihood of violence occurring on January 6th, but neither identified a high potential for the level of violence that occurred ultimately. These assessments did not include some information available to PID related to potential threats of violence, in part because the information, blank, finally, leading up to January 6th, blank, shared some information about blank, the U.S. Capitol, but the Secret Service, blank. We don't get any of that, really, Too much of it's marked out. PID produced 2 documents in preparation for January 6th that did not anticipate the level of violence that occurred that day. Prior to January 6th, PID staff developed 2 relevant documents about organized protests scheduled to occur between January 4th and 7th, 2021, against the certification of the 2020 election results. Neither of the products conveyed a high potential for violence that would impact the Secret Service protective mission on January 6th. Research specialists and special agents in the PID produce threat assessments or briefing documents to inform protective operations. Staff responsible for monitoring blank, review and analyze a big blank, per department rules of behavior, intelligence staff blank. They're not going to tell you how they gather their intelligence. PID staff share information with Secret Service leadership and protective operations personnel for planning situational awareness and incorporate information into PID's briefings or assessments with the information blank. On December 31st, they're not going to tell you what gets in the report and what doesn't. On December 31st, 2020, PID published the March for Trump Protective Intelligence Brief. According to PID officials, the brief was developed to assist Uniform Division and Protective Detail personnel with their planning operations related to January 6 protective events and protectee movements. The brief focused on information blank, along with blank, to upcoming January 6 demonstrations at the Ellipse and Capitol, a huge blank. For each of the almost 60 demonstrations identified in the brief, intelligence staff reported the event showed no indication of civil disobedience. I feel like it was leading up to this. I knew there was going to be some crazy shit going on there. I feel like they should have known that. PID personnel told U.S. intelligence staff blank. Rather, according to PID personnel, blank. PID personnel included information about blank in the March for Trump Protective Intelligence Brief. The brief document blank. The briefing document blank. Rather, the PID briefing document conveyed statements blank. And there's a whole bunch of shit blanked out. Figure 3 shows an excerpt from the March for Trump Protective Intelligence Briefing. It's all blanked out. The March for Trump Protective Intelligence Brief concludes with an assessment that the risk of violence would be like prior demonstrations in November and December of 2020. Many of the groups planning to engage in demonstration activities on January 6, 2021, blank. Verbal and physical altercations ensued between pro-Trump and anti-Trump protesters during both events as a result of the blank PID assesses. On January 5th, 2021, PID issued another document titled Notable Trends and Tactics for Consideration Ahead of Potential Civil Unrest in the National Campaign Region, National Capital Region. PID personnel authored the document to describe potential activity that might take place around and on January 6th, with an estimated 28,000 demonstrators attending various events. Analysts based the blank, according to the report, blank. The report concludes with the assessment of threat of violence. PID assesses there is a continued threat for low to mid-level violence instigated by blank. It is also assessed that blank. Further, demonstration activity related to the 2020 presidential election and upcoming January 20th inauguration ceremony is anticipated, with the possibility of individuals or groups engaging in civil disorder. The group within PID that developed this report is responsible for blank. According to the official responsible for developing this report, personnel based the low to mid-level violence blank. Although the PID staff received additional information about threats of violence to law enforcement and other governmental officials in the days preceding January 6, the information was not included in the final PID assessments. For example, PID staff received a tip from the blank. PID staff conducted blank and determined there was blank. Further, PID was blank. In another example, a bunch of blanks. I'm not going to read all these blanks, okay? The Secret Service can receive intelligence and information from the blank. Secret Service representatives serve as task force officers assigned to track and share information related to the Secret Service protective mission. 2 task force officers from the Secret Service said that prior to the January 6th, there was general information about various protest groups, but nothing out of the ordinary or uncommon. However, 2 Secret Service representatives we spoke to on the task force learned after January 6th they had not been included on an email distribution list set up to share information about potential threats to the National Capital Region leading up to the inauguration. According to the 2 task force officers, information may have been shared through that distribution list, blank, that the Secret Service did not receive via other avenues. It seemed like the FBI knew a bunch of shit like on these message boards, but it never made it to the Secret Service. The Secret Service coordinated typical security plan at the Ellipse, but quickly encountered indicators of potential violence outside the secure area. Secret Service personnel had limited advance notice of the White House staff about the president's January 6th speech at the Ellipse and the anticipated crowd size, which affected site security planning, coordination meetings, and intelligence prior to the event at the Ellipse did not raise alarms about a high potential for violence. And the Secret Service personnel anticipated nothing extraordinary. During the rally, some Secret Service personnel observed indicators of potential violence outside the secure area. The Secret Service arrested one individual inside the secure area with concealed wooden nunchucks. Over the course of the event, officers at the magnetometer checkpoint seized hundreds of prohibited items, including knives, tasers, and gas masks. This is a huge indicator that something bad's going to happen, right? Trump said, be there, it's going to be wild. And then we start getting knives, tasers, gas masks, nunchucks. This is not like a lone wolf showed up to hurt Trump. This is like they are planning for something fucking big to happen. And they want to be prepared for it. Military-grade radios, the tactical clothing they were wearing. They were planning on something happening. You don't get 30% of your audience shows up in tactical gear because they're going to a rally to support their president. Secret Service personnel also reported seeing numerous individuals wearing body armor, communicating via radios, climbing trees outside the secure area, avoiding entry of the secure area, to the secure area, where they would have to pass through magnetometers. Local law enforcement partners shared reports of possible firearms within the crowd outside of the Secret Service's protected area. Because these individuals were observed outside of the protected area, the Secret Service law enforcement partners, including the U.S. Park Police and MPD, had jurisdiction over these individuals. The Secret Service doesn't have jurisdiction until you get into their area they protect. So if Metropolitan Police Department says, hey, we think we saw a guy with a gun, sorry, but we never leave our post. See how everything ties in? We never leave our post. The Secret Service had an abbreviated timeline to prepare for the Ellipse event. The Secret Service has procedures for security preparations prior to a protectee site visit. The process begins when a protectee staff notifies the protective detail of a scheduled trip or movement. The relevant protective division then notifies an advanced team to conduct the security planning. Now, they're not going to tell you how they plan for a site visit because you could just make sure you didn't trip any of these certain alarms, right? In addition to the advanced team of agents assigned to do the advanced site security preparations, a protective detail travels with the protectee during movements and site visits. A whole bunch of blanks. Security preparations for the president's January 6th speech at the Ellipse were abbreviated because the Secret Service had limited advance notice from the White House staff. Agents said advanced teams would typically have more time to complete site advance work for an event the size of the Ellipse event, with blank. On January 1st, Secret Service personnel received notification that the White House staff had added the rally at the Ellipse as an in-town visit to the president's schedule. Secret Service advanced personnel began planning the next day and scheduled the initial walkthrough of the site for January 3rd. Secret Service personnel assigned to protective operations at the rally at the Ellipse said the late notice of the president's planned attendance left them with an abbreviated amount of time to complete advance work at the site. The Secret Service also encountered challenges obtaining timely information of the anticipated crowd size for the rally at the Ellipse. On January 1st, White House staff notified or informed Secret Service advanced personnel that they were expecting 30,000 people to attend the rally. At the time of the first walkthrough, to begin the site security plan on January 3rd, the permit issued by the U.S. Park Services was for only 5,000 people. The Department of the Interior, OIG, found that on January 4th, event organizers requested an increase in the number of event participants to 30,000. In a January 5 email, PID shared open source information indicating an increase in planned participants at the Ellipse to more than 30,000 people. The Secret Service participated in coordination meetings with law enforcement partners and DHS law enforcement components leading up to January 6th. The MPD led a series of coordination calls to discuss permits filed with various demonstrations on January 6th. Participants included the Secret Service, U.S. Park Police, Capitol Police, and other partners. These calls were intended to allow various entities involved to share information on pre-event intelligence, timelines, locations involved for various groups, and coordination of efforts. Among other topics, on January 3rd, 2021, the Secret Service also participated in a coordination call for DHS law enforcement components led by DHS Office of Operations Coordination to review and share information about the posture for potential civil unrest in Washington, D.C., and coordinate security planning to identify any operational gaps. Meeting participants that were interviewed did not convey that these meetings raised alarms about any extraordinary potential for violence on the scale of what ultimately occurred on January 6th. Secret Service personnel involved in the planning of the LIPS event did not consider the intelligence information leading up to the event unusual or alarming. As discussed earlier in this report, PID's briefings anticipated that the event would be like previous related demonstrations in November and December of 2020 and did not convey a high potential for violence that would impact the Secret Service protective mission. Agents assigned to the advanced planning team for the Ellipse event including the advanced intelligence agents, did not recall receiving negative intelligence. In addition, a senior agent on the president's detail characterized the intelligence leading up to the event as generic, because civil disobedience is always possible at political events. January 6th, Secret Service immediately encountered indicators of potential violence. On January 6th, the Secret Service encountered indicators of potential violence within the crowd at the Ellipse. As shown in Figure 5, Secret Service established a secure area with magnetometer checkpoints to screen anyone wishing to enter the event. Yet Secret Service officers and law enforcement partners observed weapons and prohibited items among the crowds outside the boundaries of the protected area, as described below. For the individuals observed outside the secure area, Secret Service law enforcement partners, including U.S. Park Police and MPD, had appropriate jurisdiction. So we get it here. So that's the Ellipse. That's the secure area. Here's the magnetometer checkpoint. So it's a pretty basic fucking map, right? The Ellipse is where he's speaking from. This is the area they got to secure. Nobody can be in here without going through this magnetometer point, and that's what they had cordoned off. On the morning of January 6th, the Secret Service tweeted a list of prohibited items for the Ellipse event, which included body armor, firearms, and weapons of any kind. At 8:07 a.m., agents assigned to monitor crowds outside the secure area for threats started reporting seeing people wearing ballistic helmets and body armor and carrying radio equipment and military-grade backpacks waiting to go through the main magnetometers. The Secret Service arrested one individual who brought a weapon through the magnetometer into the secure area. At 9:40 a.m., a concerned citizen reported an individual removing nunchucks from his pant leg, so he snuck them in when his pant leg is straighter, and then placing them in his jacket. This is easier to get to. The Secret Service official who interviewed the individual informed us that by bringing the weapon in the secure area, the individual could have harmed the protectee or other event attendees. Figure 6 shows the nunchucks. Later that morning, local law enforcement partners shared reports of possible firearms within the crowd outside the Secret Service protected area. For example, at 11:23, the U.S. Park Police advised over its blank of possible armed individuals, one with a Glock, one with a rifle, in the location of 14th and 15th Streets and Constitution Avenue. At 12 p.m., a separate report was shared over a Secret Service radio channel of individuals located in the trees, one with a pistol on the hip. Secret Service personnel coordinated with partners in the U.S. Park Police and MPD regarding the threats. Large crowds remained outside the secure area and did not seek entry through the magnetometer checkpoints. A Secret Service officer assigned to the magnetometers at the Ellipse said that people attempted to enter with motorcycle suits, ballistic vests, and gas masks, which the Secret Service seized. The officers told us that a lot of people chose not to enter the secure area once they realized they were checkpoints of magnetometers. They would turn away to watch the speech from the street. Another Secret Service officer who worked at the magnetometer checkpoint said there were large crowds covering the hill by the Washington Monument, but no one was trying to forcefully enter the event. During the rally at the Ellipse, the Secret Service seized numerous items at the magnetometer checkpoints from individuals wishing to enter the secure area that were on the prohibited items list, such as motorcycle suits, ballistic vests. As seen in Figures 7 through 11, a Secret Service officer told us it was the first time in his 12-year career he had confiscated a motorcycle suit. You know what they're talking about, like body armor, like motorcycle armor. People during the Summer of Love or whatever were buying that or breaking it out or whatever, and they were using that kind of like, it's padded, it's armored, right, to go fight people. That's what they were wearing. Motorcycle suit with all the padding, ballistic vest, gas mask they had, a taser, like a handheld taser prongs, a concealed belt knife. So this belt buckle is a knife blade, almost like a little shiv, like a palm knife. By the conclusion of the Ellipse event, the Secret Service officers working the magnetometers had processed 28,000 individuals and seized a total of 605 prohibited items. Table 1 shows the number of seizures of various types of prohibited items. A Secret Service official told us he had never seen the number of ballistic vests and gas masks that he saw on January 6th. So there were 269 knives or blades confiscated. There were 242 pepper sprays, 94 under miscellaneous. That would be the vests, the helmets, the gas masks, right? Would be the 94 for 605 confiscations. As discussed above, whenever a protectee has a scheduled trip or movement, his or her staff notifies the protective detail so that the Secret Service can plan accordingly. Sometimes a protectee may request an off-the-record movement. That's what we were talking about earlier. Blank. According to the president's detail leader, during a meeting several days prior to the rally at the Ellipse, a White House staff member mentioned the idea of the president going to the U.S. Capitol after the rally on January 6, 2021. The president's detail leader said he advised against this movement, saying it was not a good idea. So again, if Trump says, I was going down there to calm everybody down, they floated the idea days before anybody knew there was going to be violence, allegedly, especially because of the ongoing transition, right? It looks bad that you're looming over the votes and asking Mike Pence to overturn the fucking votes, and you're there looming over while they're voting someone else in because you lost. That's a very, very bad look. It's almost to the point of insinuating that if they don't vote your way, you're going to do something, right? That would be very weird. Imagine somebody wants to accuse you of like a sexual assault, and like the police are like, okay, we'll take a report, but the person you're accusing gets to come in and watch you write it. It's just weird. Following that discussion, White House staff did not make any formal requests, and the Secret Service did not plan for a movement to the Capitol on January 6. On January 5, 2021, at 5:37, a Secret Service agent assigned to the president's motorcade emailed the other assigned drivers that there was an unconfirmed rumor of a possible presidential move to the Capitol following the event at the Ellipse. The email indicated that the visit to the Capitol would be an off-the-record movement if it happened. The Secret Service official who sent the email informed us that he did not think an off-the-record movement to the Capitol was likely on January 6 because a blank. On January 6, 2021, at 11:58 a.m., President Trump arrived on stage at the event. During his speech, he announced that he would go with protesters to the Capitol. So before he even asked Secret Service, before he even made an official request or said he wanted to go to his protective detail, he just tells the protesters, I'm going with you. I'll march down there with you. A Secret Service official who was backstage said that a military aide told him the president had announced he would go with the protesters to the Capitol and asked whether the Secret Service had a way to get the president to the Capitol. The Secret Service official informed the military aide that the typical motorcade route was not possible because of the attendees marching to the Capitol. Exercising due diligence, the Secret Service agent then contacted an MPD, Metropolitan Police Department, point of contact to plan a potential logistics in case the movement did happen. According to the Secret Service agent, the MPD point of contact began to determine a potential route to the Capitol for that scenario. At 1:16 p.m., after concluding his speech, the president entered his limousine. There were blank Secret Service agents in the limousine with the president. And no one else. They named some more people, then it says, and no one else. According to the blank agents, a number of agents, once the motorcade was en route to the White House, the president requested to go to the Capitol. The detail leader informed the president that going to the Capitol was infeasible and the motorcade had to return to the White House. By 1:19 p.m., the president had reached the White House and was inside the West Wing. The detail leader asked the limo driver to hold while he received clarity on whether a movement to the Capitol was still being considered. About the same time, 1:19 p.m., a senior Secret Service official from the OPO sent an email to the president's detail leader informing him that the Capitol Police was having serious challenges at the Capitol. So before they even knew that there were serious challenges at the Capitol, that's when Trump wanted to go. The email advised against an off-the-record movement to or near the Capitol. After 15 to 20 minutes, the detail leader released the motorcade, told the driver he could go home. The detail leader said there was no further discussion about going to the Capitol once they returned to the White House because of the ongoing violence at the Capitol. At 1:55, so once he found out there was violence at the Capitol, he no longer went to go. He wanted to go. Because I've heard him in interviews say, I wanted to go down there, they wouldn't let me. I could have went down there and calmed everybody down. That's a fucking lie. When he wanted to go is when he wanted to lead people down there to do their thing. Once there was violence there was no consideration, no speech, no nothing about going ever mentioned again. Because of the ongoing violence in the Capitol. At 1:55 p.m., the detail lead replied to an email from the senior OPO official that there would be no off-the-record movement to the Capitol. Secret Service secured vice presidents after the Capitol breach, but narrowly avoided encounters with rioters. This is the part I wanted to get to. So this is Pence at the Capitol, okay? And how close he came to the people that were literally there to hang him, running into him. Because the U.S. Capitol is considered a secure site and is managed by U.S. Capitol Police, blank. The Secret Service treated the Vice President's January 6th visit to the Capitol as standard visit without any special precautions or heightened security. This includes following Capitol Police practice that blank. Despite limited contingency planning and communication challenges, the Secret Service secured the Vice President during the breach of the Capitol. But there were some near encounters with rioters. The Secret Service considered evacuating the Vice President to his residence, but he did not want to leave, and the protective detail eventually considered their location safe. After the Capitol was cleared, protesters, the Secret Service escorted the Vice President back to the chambers to resume certification proceedings. On January, the Secret Service followed its standard process for routine visits to the Capitol, including blank. On January 6, 2021, the Vice President was expected to serve as the President of the Senate. The Secret Service planned for the visit to the Capitol to be standard visit without any special precautions or heightened security. This included blank. Secret Service protective detail members regularly visit the Capitol due to the protectee's role in the Congress. The Capitol is a unique site with its own police presence and security measures in place. Specifically, the complex has cameras and guarded entry gates as well as magnetometers inside the building. So Secret Service personnel told us for those reasons they don't set up their own checkpoints, they don't cordon it off, they don't do those things because they're inside a secure location that's already cordoned off. As a routine matter, Capitol Police blank. Secret Service staff told us, and our policy review confirmed, that there were no known documented procedures or agreements noting this limitation, but it is a general understanding. So the Capitol Police apparently have some sort of limitation when the Vice President's there in some way, shape, or form. Now, they said this isn't written down anywhere, but both the Capitol Police and the Secret Service know this. Yeah, that's the dumbest thing in my fucking heard. Oh, they wouldn't work. I wouldn't put anything past him, Jilly's mom. To facilitate coordination for protective visits to the Capitol, the Secret Service's Liaison Division has blank assistants permanently assigned to the complex. So Secret Service always has people at the Capitol building, at the complex there somewhere. And it's because they have so many protective visits to go in there. According to the Liaison Division staff, they coordinated between the Secret Service, the Sergeant-at-Arms office, and for the Senate, and the House of Representatives, and the Capitol Police. Liaison Division staff said they also conduct blank by Secret Service protective staff. According to Liaison Division staff, they also manage the sharing of logistical information between Capitol Police and Secret Service and serve as escorts for protectees while on site. So the liaisons are there. They're part of the Secret Service Division, and they walk people around. They get the intel. They pass it back and forth. They do their thing, but they're always there at the Capitol. On December 30th, 2020, Secret Service protective staff received confirmation that the Vice President would attend the Electoral College certification at the Capitol on January 6, 2021. The Secret Service assigned a lead agent to begin planning for the visit. The Secret Service also confirmed the Vice President's visit and his itinerary with Capitol Police on January 5. On January 6, the site agent arrived at the Capitol several hours before the Vice President for a walkthrough. The side agent, the vice president's staff members, and the assigned liaison division staff conducted the walkthrough of blank, expected blank movements around 10:45 of 25 expected, potential movements or whatever. Around 10:45 a.m., after the walkthrough concluded, the site agent contacted the vice president's supervisory detail members to brief them about the security and the emergency action plan. The site agent also contacted the transportation agent to provide an update that the protesters were beginning to gather around the complex, but ultimately gave clearance for the vice president's arrival. The vice president, the second lady, and their daughter. So not only was Mike Pence there, his wife and daughter were there too, and they were close. The vice president, his wife, and their daughter, along with their protective details, arrived at the Senate side of the Capitol around 12:37 p.m. The vice president was first escorted to his office and then eventually to the Senate and House chambers for the certification, while his family was escorted by their detail staff and a liaison division to a different floor. So his wife, could you imagine if they'd have been able to identify, if they'd have got to and knew Mike Pence's wife and daughter while he's certifying votes or attempting to, they'd have found his wife or daughter and the fucking wild shit that would have come from that. The threats that would have been put out there, the things that would have been said, or the shit that was going on. All right, guys, time for a dance break. You guys hang out for a second. I got to throw some clothes in the dryer. I'll be right back. Mariah thinks that I'm going to sit over here and do fucking laundry for zero pussy. For zero pussy. So I've been secretly drying all her bras and marking on her favorite tops with a Sharpie. So there you go. There is no zero pussy laundry. You understand me? The dance break was in your head, bros. What are you talking about? Did you miss it? Did you miss the dance break? Anyways, the vice president was first escorted to his office, and his family was on a different floor. Blank! Lots of blanks, okay? This seems something to be like a layout and contingency plan or something here. According to the transportation agent, after the vice president and his family entered the Capitol, the motorcade was directed to move to the plaza above the Capitol Visitor Center. Video footage reflects that about 100 protesters had surrounded the plaza. Capitol Police officers guarded bike racks set up as... Remember the bike racks that were blocking shit? That was their original barricade. They weren't barricades. They were actual bike... I mean, you can use them as barricades, right? But it's slotted for bikes. Video footage reflects that 100 protesters had surrounded the plaza. Capitol Police officers guarded bike racks set up as barricades to keep the protesters back. Blank. Figure 13 shows the location where the vice president's motorcade was parked and the surrounding protesters. After being parked for about 30 minutes, the transportation agent started noticing the protesters getting closer and fighting with the Capitol Police to move the bike rack barricade. At the same time, the motorcade's police counterpart, right, the MPD, heard through the radio that things were getting crazy on another side of the Capitol grounds, with the Capitol Police officers clashing with protesters. That's the Metropolitan Police Department, I could think of. All right, so here we go. Figure 13. We've got the Capitol here. I guess we could go back to our map, huh? So they were parked over here on the back side of the Capitol. So there's the two big testicles. There's the two big ears. Yes. So they were parked opposite of the testicles over here on this side. Probably, I guess this is a road here. No, they're probably parked right here, right up front. And it says, location of protesters surrounding the plaza. So basically, they were all blocked in by protesters. So the protesters were all around this area. Over here by this. Close that. They were all over here. And the car was parked right here. And it says, Vice President's motorcade parked above the Capitol Visitor Center, which is on that side. Who can we charge with the attempt on Pence? Oh, everybody. Zero pussy laundry. That's a fucking dream, baby. That's a dream. Your shit's just going to come home ruined. At 1:43 p.m., about an hour after the motorcade parked, the protesters who were initially barricaded behind the bike racks began attempting to remove the bike racks while the Capitol police officers tried to keep them in their place. Initially, Capitol police officers were able to control the situation and keep protesters from breaching the barricade in response to the escalation of events. The transportation agent said he told anyone who had exited their motorcade vehicles to get back in them. So if you're out of your vehicle, get back in them. The agent told us he was concerned that protesters would overtake the area and the vehicles and block any exit routes, causing injury. The transportation agent told us that once all staff were back inside the vehicles, he had to come up with a plan to relocate in case the area become unsecured. So they're got the car there waiting on Pence in case he needs to make a getaway, but they're surrounded now, and they're pushing through the barricades, removing the barricades. So the transportation agent is like, I got to move y'all somewhere else. They're going to take the cars. They're going to surround the area. There's going to be no exit. Lots of blanks. Blank. Protesters stormed through the plaza, breaching the barricades at 1:59 p.m. The transportation agent said some of the protesters moved toward the motorcade and attempted to block some of the vehicles. Those vehicles were ultimately able to get around the protesters and rejoin the rest of the motorcade. Blank. The transportation agent said making that quick decision to move the motorcade was the hardest call I've ever had to make. Blank. Just as the Capitol was breached at 2:13 p.m., the site agent returned to the chamber area, blank, and heard glass breaking and a rush of people entering the Capitol lobby. The site agent returned to the chamber area, blank. He heard glass breaking and a rush of people entering the Capitol lobby on the floor below. The site agent said that she immediately ran from the chamber area down the stairwell to monitor the situation. The site agent informed the detail supervisor who was coming down the stairs of the situation so he could relay the information to the staff still located upstairs and determine a plan of action. So she ran to the stairs to see what was going on. Another guy came to her and was coming down the stairs, and she said, turn around, tell everybody there's a breach. We got to get a plan together. Due to security concerns, the Secret Service had moved the vice president from the chambers to his office. His office is going to be more secure than the chambers. The bunker is going to be more secure than the office. So we're moving to the office. Just prior to the breach. So just prior to the time they broke in on the floor below, they had just moved him. According to the site agent, the protesters had two paths out of the area they had entered. One, which was directly towards the site agent and the vice president's office. So where they broke in at, they could either continue going on that floor or go up the stairs. If they went up the stairs, they're right at Mike Pence's office and don't even realize that they're at the back of the chamber in Mike Pence's office. They probably didn't know the layout that well. Capitol police officers directed protesters away from the direction of the stairwell leading to the vice president's office and towards the other path. Why would we see Capitol police officers, magatards, listen. Why would we see Capitol police officers leading protesters through the Capitol? Well, they was just walking them through like they was taking a tour. No, it's a carrot and a stick. Oh, yeah, come right this way. Yep. Come right this way. Okay, here we go. Come this way. Come this way. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Come this way. They're taking them away from the people they're trying to fucking protect. The same reason we might take a protest, a march, down through Main Street rather than through your goddamn cul-de-sac, right? The same reason that we can't stop a fucking river, but we might be able to divert it if there's shit going on downstream. The riders reached the second floor at 2:15 p.m., where a Capitol police officer led them away from the direction of the vice president's office and towards a line of Capitol police officers. Again, we saw this. Do you guys remember that black cop that led a bunch of protesters like, come on, let's go? And he leads them into a fucking room full of cops, and the cops just start snatching them up. You guys remember that? If the Capitol Police had been unsuccessful in directing the protesters, they could have moved into the office and chamber area while the vice president and his family were still there. The site agent told us the situation kept quickly changing. The evacuation path was clear of protesters one moment, then not clear the next. At 2:25 p.m., the detail used a moment when the path was clear to relocate the vice president from his office, blank. Figure 14 shows the proximity of the vice president to riders on January 6. So for 10 minutes, literally, he led them. These are the stairs where they come in at 2, right? He led them this way and into a bunch of cops that told them they couldn't go no further. But if they would have just went this way, that's his office, and this is the back entrance to the chamber. Now, this hallway's huge, right? This probably held hundreds of people. But if they would have went this way, they would have ran right into... His family was fucking there, dude. His family was there. And they were calling for fucking hanging him. They were calling him a traitor, saying he did the wrong thing, saying that he should be fucking treasonous, that he should be tried on treason and the death penalty. There were people chanting to send him out, that they would handle it. Trump said he failed us, while him and his wife and his kid were there. Hours later, Trump says, "You're special. I love you. Go home." But he didn't give a fuck, asking Mike Pence to subvert this shit. To subvert this shit. He didn't give a fuck that his life was on the line. He hoped that Mike Pence would side with him because his life was on the line. The site agent told us that blank created manpower challenges that day, blank. This is it right here. This is the whole Senate chamber. His office is this way. When they breached the stairs from this lower room they came in, the guy led them into a big hall and a line full of cops to fight with. But if they'd have went a couple doors this way, they would have been in Mike Pence's office with him and his family sitting there. For 10 minutes, they were this far away. Hundreds of people that were calling for him, for his head, basically. That's terrifying that this could even happen. That's terrifying that this could even fucking happen in the United States. All because Trump lied to him about what actually happened during the election. He knew he lost. He admitted he lost. His entire team told him he lost. He got a new team. The site agent also told us that additional personnel would have been helpful while moving the vice president is probably to his bunker and all that shit. Secret Service decided not to evacuate the Capitol grounds. At blank, the vice president's detail safely moved the vice president from his office, blank, blank, without incident, to his bunker. During this time, they're not going to say anything about his bunker, or that there is a bunker, or that there's a safe room, or whatever they're calling it. During this time, the detail leader said that he and the vice president discussed relocating from the Capitol. According to the notifications from the Secret Service Operations Center, there were initial plans to evacuate the Capitol and go to the vice president's residence. The vice president did not want to leave the Capitol grounds. Detail staff said they were not aware of the developments outside of the building, including the protesters erecting gallows and a noose and yelling, "Hang Mike Pence." But the gallows probably wouldn't have supported his weight. That's not the point. If I stayed on here, I'm gonna take my AR and I'm gonna shoot that stupid orange son of a bitch. You think that threat, if it's a credible threat, a real threat, a threat against a former sitting president, whatever, that they're gonna show up and make sure my gun works? It's still a threat. It's the intention behind it. Yeah, the gallows might not have worked, but if they would have gave some of those people Trump or some of those people Pence, they would have beat him to death on the ground. They'd have beat him to death on the ground. If they beat him to death on the ground, beat him to death, him, his wife, and his daughter, if they'd have beat him to death on the Capitol steps, would you say, yeah, but the gallows probably wouldn't support his weight? Does that make sense? They just beat this man and his family to death. Yeah, but the gallows don't even support his weight. Shut the fuck up. According to notifications to Secret Service operations, they were hailing hang Mike Pence. They were unaware of that. They knew that there was a breach, but they didn't know how substantial it was. So a lot of the senators, people are like, oh, they were just trying for sympathy while they were live tweeting about hearing gunshots and shit. They didn't have the fucking news. They were getting their news from social media and people calling them, and a lot of the lines were jammed and shit because so many people in that area. They were getting their news from social media and saying, we just heard gunshots, we just heard glass break, there's been this, there's been that. They didn't have the fucking news telling them what was going on. Once the vice president was moved blank, the detail leader worked to determine a plan of action and whether to leave the Capitol grounds. The detail leader said he was monitoring motorcade routes in case an evacuation was needed. The detail leader also told us he took the vice president's desire not to leave the Capitol grounds into consideration. Ultimately, the detail leader determined there was no reason to leave the secure location. At 2:49, especially not a bunker, especially if there was people still outside and shit calling to hang him, if he's in a bunker, I wouldn't leave him either, or have him leave either. At 2:49 p.m., the detail notified the Secret Service Operations Center of the decision to remain holding blank. After deciding to hold, the detail leader directed staff to gauge the threat level blank, blank, blank. According to the same agents, they were not receiving communications from various entities such as the Protective Intelligence Operations Center. According to the Secret Service agents, the Capitol Police and the Metropolitan Police officers in the area could use their radios to maintain necessary communications with their counterparts. Blank. Ultimately, blank. Everyone remained safe for the duration of the hold. This probably says thanks to the evacuation plan, this, that, and the other, but it's blacked out. The Capitol Police declared the Capitol clear of protesters at 6 p.m. Following the declaration, Secret Service K-9 teams began assisting the Capitol Police with sweeps inside the Capitol between 6:30 and 6:45 p.m. The site agent, liaison division staff assistant of the Secret Service CAT agents started conducting walkthroughs to ensure the walking paths from blank to the chambers were clear, from the bunker to the chambers were clear. At around 7 p.m., the site agent, detail supervisors, liaison division staff assistant, and the CAT agents escorted the vice president back inside the Capitol. Various staff members were relieved of duty and replaced by other staff at different times throughout the evening. At 7:30 p.m., senators began returning to the chambers, and Vice President-elect arrived at the Capitol. And the Vice President-elect arrived at the Capitol. 8:05 p.m., the Vice President returned to the chambers to resume proceedings. Prior to proceedings ending, in the early morning hours of January 7, 2021, the transportation agent ran the motorcade route with MPD from the Capitol to the Vice President's residence to ensure a clear path. Once the route was deemed clear, 4 minutes before 4 a.m., the Vice President, his family, and any remaining Secret Service staff on site finally departed the Capitol without incident. It's amazing that they didn't get to somebody. It's amazing they didn't drag somebody out. You're telling me the way they were fighting with those cops to kill each other, that if they would have got a hold of a fucking AOC or a Chuck Schumer or a Nancy Pelosi, that you don't think they would have at least trampled them to death, if not drug them out and made a spectacle of it. They'd at least fucking knocked them down on the ground, kicked them, and trampled them to death. 100% they would have. 100% they would have. If there was somebody they recognized, or even somebody they recognized family members and they knew it. Look at how they talked about Paul Pelosi when he got fucking brained with a goddamn hammer. They're like, oh, I guess he didn't pay his gay escort. What? A mentally deranged man broke into their house and beat him with a hammer. I'm about tired of them denying that this shit was violent and shit. After violence erupted at the Capitol, the Secret Service Uniform Division Chief offered to assist the Capitol Police, and Secret Service sent Civil Disturbance Unit, CDU, teams to the Capitol. The process of identifying White House personnel available for deployment while maintaining security at the White House resulted in an 80-minute delay before personnel were deployed. Ultimately, the number of personnel deployed were fewer than Secret Service leadership anticipated. The blank CDU officers who responded provided security for members of Congress. I think it was like 80, but they said there would be 100 and another 100. I think it ended up being like 80. The Secret Service did not conduct any formal after-action review of support provided to Capitol Police. Secret Service had authority to assist Capitol Police at the Capitol on January 6th. First, its statutory law enforcement authority under 18 U.S.C. 3056A provides the Secret Service Uniform Division with powers equivalent to those of the Metropolitan Police Department. Second, Secret Service officials asserted that protective nexus existed at the Capitol because of the Vice President's presence on the complex and the Vice President-elect's planned appearance later that evening. Then a huge blank. The Secret Service Uniform Division Chief offered to assist the Capitol Police Chief via text message at 1:01 p.m. The Uniform Division Chief estimated that the Capitol Police Chief responded within 5 minutes, indicating that he would take whatever assistance the Secret Service could provide. This text message exchange is shown in Figure 15. The Uniform Division Chief then reached out to the Secret Service Assistant Director and Deputy Director for approval to assist. The Uniform Division Chief estimated the process of consulting with his superiors took about 10 to 15 minutes. The Secret Service Director said that he also independently reached out to the U.S. Capitol Police Chief via phone and left a voicemail before learning that the Secret Service Uniform Division Chief had already established contact and had begun to act. Here's a text message. If you need help, I can send a platoon to you. I will take whatever you can send. Working on it now. We'll update you in 5. Clearly there was a threat. Yeah, talking about raping Pelosi. Jesus Christ. Smeared shit on the walls of our cap. You dirty motherfucker. A lot of this is going to be how they decided what agents would go, what their capabilities were, how quick they can get there. According to the Uniform Division Chief, he delegated further responsibility for arranging assistance to the Capitol to the Assistant Chief and proceeded to meet with other high-level officials in the Director's Crisis Center. The Uniform Division Chief said he was not involved in further coordination while in the Director's Crisis Center because it was a secure facility where he did not have his cell phone. The Assistant Chief recalled the Chief at first telling him to assist with sending support to the Capitol Police, but then redirected him to go to the White House instead to oversee the security posture. The Assistant Chief said he thought the Chief requested another Secret Service official to assist with sending support to the Capitol Police, but did not know who. Through our interviews and other Uniform Division officials, we could not determine what official, if any, took any further action at the time to facilitate the Uniform Division Chief's initial plan to assist. The plan to have Washington field office agents provide backfill at the White House before providing assistance had still not occurred hours after the initial 101 text regarding assistance. In an email from 3:10 p.m., the White House branch official wrote, Washington field office is sending additional 100 agents to the White House branch to relieve 100 of our officers to respond to the Capitol. Meanwhile, the Secret Service CDU personnel assigned to the Ellipse event had returned to the White House where they were on standby to provide civil disturbance response if needed. Multiple CDU officers assigned to the Ellipse explained that once the event concluded, they returned to the South Lawn of the White House to assume standby status. At 1:55 p.m., Capitol Police issued a call for assistance to all agencies via the Police Mutual Radio System. The Secret Service Uniform Division Chief had convened a virtual chat with the Uniform Division Assistant and the Deputy Chiefs at 1:49 p.m. According to a Deputy Chief, whose branch subsequently provided assistance to the Capitol shortly after the USCP transmission, the Uniform Division leadership of the chat determined the support Secret Service would deploy to the Capitol. Secret Service deployed blank CDU teams totaling blank personnel blank. They were supplemental to the White House branch personnel and considered non-essential to the complex security. Before the Secret Service CDU teams deployed, they needed instruction for an arrival location, which the Secret Service Uniform Division Chief requested and received from the Capitol Police Chief via text. At 2:12 p.m., the Secret Service Uniform Division Chief emailed the arrival location information to the Uniform Division Chiefs. At 2:27 p.m., the Secret Service CDU officers departed the White House and arrived at the Capitol at 2:38 p.m. Ultimately, it took 86 minutes from the initial text. This is way too long, but obviously the ball got dropped because the main guy went into a secured facility and left his phone, and he told his assistant to handle it. But he also had instructed his assistant to go check on the security at the White House. So when he was told this second command, go check on the security at the White House, he assumed that the Capitol Police was handed off to somebody else, not on him anymore. But it wasn't. It just got dropped. Offer assisting at 1:01 p.m. until the deployment of the Secret Service CDU teams to assist at 2:27 p.m. Upon their arrival, Capitol Police directed the CDU officers to secure the Dirksen Senate office building. This is where the Dirksen is where they evacuated a lot of people to after everything happened, right? That's where you see those pictures. They're all like huddled in hallways and shit. That's the secured building they fell back to while the fucking magatards were taking over the Capitol, the actual Capitol building. Where members of Congress where members of Congress were sheltering in place according to CDU personnel. Independent of this initial deployment, blank of uniformed division officers and blank arrived at the Capitol at 2:35 p.m. The official who led this team said the team had been initially mobilized and staged blank for the day as the mass arrest team intended for potential disturbances at the Ellipse event. According to this official, the team was sent to assist with Vice President's evacuation, but the Vice President did not evacuate the complex, and the team proceeded to join the blank officers at the Dirksen building. Figure 16 shows CDU personnel moving within the Dirksen building. So this is the building they're talking about. This is all their Senate offices, right? This is all their offices. This is where they kind of evacuated to until everything went back together. The Secret Service provision of blank personnel to the Secret Service's provision of blank personnel to assist Capitol Police may not have been the magnitude of assistant leadership anticipated. An email from the head of PID, the Secret Service Director, at 3:47 p.m. indicated that the Secret Service already deployed approximately 100 law enforcement officers to the Capitol and will deploy approximately another 100 within the next hour. When we asked the Secret Service leadership about this email, they provided inconsistent recollections on where these estimated numbers originated and whether they reflected the Secret Service's intended response. During an operations meeting with other DHS components on the afternoon of January 6th, the head of PID informed them that Secret Service had provided approximately 100 law enforcement officers to support the Capitol Police, significantly overreporting the Secret Service's true magnitude of response. The Secret Service also sent a uniformed division official and blank OPO officials to the Capitol Police's command center. According to those blank officials, their role at the command center included coordinating the agency's CDU response, monitoring the Vice President's movement, and maintaining direct communication between the Secret Service and the Capitol Police. These officials arrived at the Capitol Police command center at approximately 3:45 p.m. At the Dirksen building, the CDU teams assumed defensive positions at stairwells and internal doorways surrounding large rooms occupied by members of Congress and staff. These teams served as the last line of defense for the building and, according to the uniformed division chief, freed up Capitol Police officers to clear the main Capitol building. At approximately 3:35 p.m., CDU officers defending the Dirksen building were joined by the FBI agents. CDU officers held the Dirksen building without incident or engagement from the rioters until the main Capitol building had been cleared and declared safe. So once they started evacuating the people, and you can see them like letting people in because they're evacuating people in the background, they took them all these side buildings, and the retards just didn't know where they're at. They just wandered around and looked at shit, smeared their shit on walls, stole shit. To fucking Elijah Schaefer's in there like, Nancy Pelosi left her computer unsecured. Oh my God. Yeah, she thought y'all were going to fucking kill her, dude. Are you worried that she didn't hit lock or fucking shut down her computer when she thought you were breaking in to fucking kill her? Is that what you want to report? At around 7 p.m., some CDU officers assisted with escorting the members back to the main Capitol building. Those CDU officers, and this is, so usually this election certification is a lot of ceremonial stuff. A lot of people had their families there. A lot of people were there with their families. Officers ultimately regrouped with the remaining CDU officers at the Dirksen building and then departed for the White House or their place of duty around 8 p.m. At around 6:30 p.m., the Secret Service deployed blank K-9 teams to assist Capitol Police with sweeps across the Capitol complex until discontinuing at 9:47 p.m. After the situation at the Capitol had subsided, the Secret Service assisted with arranging installation of anti-scale fencing around the Capitol complex. Table 3 provides a breakdown of the system the Secret Service provided the Capitol. And it's going to all be blocked out because there's numbers. Some of the Secret Service personnel who participated in the components response to the Capitol said they participated in after-action discussion, but not in any formal documented reviews. While some personnel said the Secret Service assistance to the Capitol Police did not encounter challenges, others identified potential lessons learned. For example, 2 responding officers felt that, given their training level and equipment, they could have been better used to directly engage rioters rather than secure the static positions of the Dirksen building. Specifically, according to the leader of the team, the CDU officers from the Rowley Training Center were trained at a high level. They had a blank that they were trained to use or could have provided to Capitol Police. Additionally, 3 officers expressed concerns with lack of coordination with Capitol Police. During our review, we encountered inconsistent information about some aspects of Secret Service's assistance to the Capitol. Across documents we reviewed and interviews, I wonder what this secret device is they had that they were trained to use or could have provided. We encountered inconsistent information about some aspects of Secret Service's assistance to the Capitol across documents we reviewed and interviews with officials. For example, the number of officers provided in an email from the head of the PID to the Secret Service director discussed previously indicating that the Secret Service had deployed 100 officers to the Capitol far exceeded the actual number of blank officers that we could verify as present on the scene. Further, Secret Service leadership provided inconsistent recollections of where these estimated numbers originated and whether they reflected the Secret Service's intended response. In addition, some Secret Service officials stated that the component provided additional personnel to support Capitol Police with security through the night of January 6th and into the following week. In response to our request for confirmation of these activities, the Uniform Division Chief provided information about Secret Service officers assisting Capitol Police with security at the Capitol on January 14th, but not on any other day following January 6th. A formal after-action review by the Secret Service would have been invaluable, not only to the component's own institutional knowledge, but also to help external reviewers determine true happenings of the day. Secret Service K-9 teams conducted sweeps of the DNC building in preparation for the Vice President-elect's visit on January 6th, did not discover a pop bomb that had been placed outside the building the night before. The Vice President-elect, traveling in an armored vehicle with her motorcade into the DNC building via a ramp within 20 feet of this pop bomb. Secret Service personnel provided differing interpretations of K-9 search requirements and procedures. In addition, the Secret Service had not employed all of its explosive detection tactics and measures for the security sweep, in part because it did not have adequate policies and procedures for requesting these capabilities for elect protectees. 2 Capitol Police plainclothes agents who were searching the DNC building after a similar device was discovered at the RNC building ultimately discovered the pop bomb 1 hour and 40 minutes after the Vice President-elect's arrival. The 2 Capitol Police agents notified the Secret Service, who then evacuated the Vice President-elect from the DNC building. The Secret Service did not report the DNC building's evacuation as an unusual protectee event, as required by its policies. More than a year later, the Secret Service initiated and finalized an update to its explosive detection coordination policy to include explosive coordination efforts for elect. So if this had been an actual president, they would have had more resources to find that bomb. But because it was a vice president-elect, they didn't have all the resources they need, no way to request them. Advanced security sweeps by the Secret Service at the DNC building did not include outside area where a pop bomb had been placed. Blank personnel gave us differing interpretations of the pop bomb's location should have been included in the sweep. On the evening of January 5th, an unidentified individual placed a pop bomb in the bushes near a bench in front of the DNC building. The pop bomb was approximately 9 feet from the building's exterior wall and 20 feet from the center of the driveway to the garage entrance, where the Vice President-elect, traveling in an armored vehicle with her motorcade, entered the building on January 6th. Figure 17 shows the location of the pop bomb. According to the FBI, the pop bomb was viable and could have detonated, causing innocent bystanders to be seriously injured or killed. So it wasn't like a hoax bomb or a dud or nothing, or like a prop. So here's the driveway that goes into this garage door, and of course they close the garage door before they get out, and the pop bomb location was literally right here near this grass and shit. And that camera we're looking from is in between this garage door. The camera I just showed you is in between this garage door and the main door, the front door. On the morning of January 6th, between 8:30 a.m. and 10:30 a.m., 2 Secret Service K-9 teams conducted a sweep of the DNC building in preparation for Vice President-elect's arrival at 11:25. After completing a walk through the site agent for the DNC visit instructed the K-9 teams to sweep the Vice President-elect's walking path within the building. The site agent did not instruct the K-9 teams to sweep any part of the exterior of the building. Nevertheless, 2 K-9 teams divided the search areas, with one team sweeping the interior of the building and the other team taking responsibility for sweeping certain exterior areas. The officer responsible for sweeping exterior areas said that the exterior sweep included the garage entrance ramp and some other areas near the garage entrance, including a storm drain, but did not include the bushes where the pipe bomb was located. And we have a bunch of shit blacked out. Other Secret Service officials, including a K-9 team supervisor and a subject matter expert in TSD, said that the area where the pipe bomb was located should have been swept given its proximity to the garage driveway ramp. The Vice President-elect, along with members of her staff, arrived at the DNC building at 11:25. The motorcade entered the DNC building via the garage driveway ramp, passing near the still undiscovered pipe bomb, as shown in Figure 18. So it shows how far off from it, and the garage door is right there, 20 feet from the center line of the driveway, 9 foot from the front door and an exterior wall. 2 U.S. Capitol Police plainclothes agents discovered the pipe bomb at 1:05 p.m. The 2 Capitol Police agents were conducting a patrol in the area in response to the discovery of a pipe bomb at 12:44 at the Republican National Committee building. Figure 19 is a picture of the pipe bomb outside the DNC building taken by the U.S. Capitol Police plainclothes agents when they discovered it. So there it is. I wonder if I can... I guess I can just zoom in for you. I was going to try to save it, but I can just zoom in for you, right? So there it is. See how it's kind of laying over to the side? It's a piece of metal pipe. It's got a plastic thing on top of it, but it's just kind of laying over here in the bush. And that camera, again, we were watching from it, is in between this front door and this garage door on the wall right here. There's some, I looked this up a while back. There's some pictures where you can see the camera and where it was at. Immediately after identifying the pipe bomb, the Capitol Police agents notified Secret Service agents who were assigned to wait in the Metropolitan Police Department vehicle that served as a lead car in the motorcade outside the DNC building, close to where the device was discovered. The Secret Service agents exited their car to visually confirm the pipe bomb and then notify the rest of the Vice President-elect's protective detail within the building. The detail leader decided to evacuate the building immediately. At blank p.m., Vice President-elect Harris exited the DNC building blank. Before the discovery of the pipe bomb, the Vice President-elect had initially planned to return to the U.S. Capitol at 3:30 p.m. According to Secret Service officials, the plan was still to return to the Capitol after evacuating the DNC building. However, the Metropolitan Police Department officer assigned to drive the lead car for the motorcade began to hear radio traffic about the escalation of violence at the Capitol. Ultimately, the Vice President-elect's detail decided to take the Vice President-elect to her residence, where she arrived at blank. The Vice President-elect was ultimately evacuated safely. The motorcade, including the Vice President-elect, came within less than 20 feet of a pipe bomb, and the Vice President-elect spent approximately 1 hour, 50 minutes at the DNC building before evacuating. Further, a Secret Service agent assigned to the garage entrance spent a total of 5 hours at his post, which was in proximity to the pipe bomb. We found that the Secret Service did not use 2 key explosives detection capabilities for the security sweep. First, a specialized site coordinator from TSD, who is responsible for planning and managing the installation of technical assets and countermeasures to ensure safe environment, was not present at the DNC building for the Vice President-elect's visit. Without a TSD site coordinator, the K-9 team did not receive guidance on where to sweep on the exterior of the building. So they can analyze, like, where's the most likely place, where's our blind spots, where would somebody put it, where would it be dangerous, how big would it have to be from here to there, whatever, right? K-9 team did not receive guidance on where to sweep on the exterior of the building. Second, there was no explosive or EOD team present to support the K-9 teams during this advanced work. According to the same guidance, TSD is routinely included in advanced security planning for site visits visited by the President and Vice President and is available upon request and authorization for all other protectees. TSD guidance does not state a specific time frame for requesting support, nor is there any guidance specifically about the request for an elect protectee, such as the Vice President-elect on January 6th. Secret Service advanced security personnel did not request a TSD site coordinator for the Vice President-elect's visit to the DNC building on January 6th. Secret Service personnel said that it was blank. To verify this claim, we requested all TSD assignments to site visits for the Vice President-elect between August 12th, 2020, and when she was elected as vice presidential candidate on January 20th, 2021, the day of the presidential inauguration. Based on a review of 29 site visits, which included visits in and outside the national capital region, blank. These locations for these visits were blank. In addition, TSD did not have records of any blank. So I think they kind of backed this up. They didn't have any of these records for her. In absence of the TSD site coordinator, a TSD senior official and K-9 supervisor said the site agent was responsible for providing sweep instructions to the K-9 teams. The site agent provided guidance on blank. A TSD senior official said that blank. In an email for another visit to the DNC building a few days prior to January 6th, Secret Service officials told the site agent, no, TSD support because it's short notice, but show K-9 the path and they'll know what to do. This email shows that in at least one other interest, Secret Service officials responsible for site logistics provided guidance to a site agent to relying on the K-9 teams to determine the sweep for themselves, rather than following the practice of the TSD senior official said should be followed. TSD senior told us he was unaware of any training or guidance for site agents to help determine what areas should be. So the K-9 guy's not going to know exactly like what, he's not going to have training on what areas to sweep, but he's going to know. Usually we go here, we do like the sidewalks, we do the driveway, then we do the inside paths they may take, but that's not good enough, right? Not when it's this high level of a game. We also found that there was no EOD team present to support the K-9 team, blank. For the DNC visit on January 6th, the Vice Presidential Protective Division's Operations Section, a unit that provides logistical support to protective operations within the division, submitted the K-9 support request. The K-9 support request that the operations unit submitted did not include a request for any EOD teams to support the K-9 teams. According to the TSD personnel, its policy is not a requirement that other agents must follow when conducting sweeps without TSD present. On the morning of January 6th, 2 Secret Service K-9 teams assigned to sweep the DNC building were surprised to learn that an EOD team was not on site to assist them with the sweep of the building. The site agent was also surprised. He said that he called operations unit to confirm whether an EOD team would be present, and the operations unit informed him that an EOD team would not be present for the sweep of the DNC building. The operations unit agent said that the reason for requesting K-9 support but not an EOD team was that the Department of Defense requires 72-hour advance notice to provide an EOD team. The operations unit agents submitted the K-9 request form on January 4th, less than 72 hours before the visit on January 6th. However, the 72-hour advance notice requirement was not documented in any guidance or on the request form. A TSD senior official was unaware of a 72-hour time frame for submitting EOD, so they're kind of lying about that. There isn't a 72-hour requirement. Yeah, there were people trying to get me to go to this. I don't know. Jay might remember this. There were people trying to get me to go to this. They're like, we'll pay your way. You can cover it, man. We're going to go up there and do this, do that, and it's going to be wild. The locations in which the EOD support was requested and approved varied blank to the Vice President-elect's residence in Washington, D.C. Additionally, all 7 requests for EOD support within the National Capital Region were submitted by the Secret Service Washington, D.C. field office, not the operations unit within the Vice Presidential Protection Division. We identified one instance of an EOD request being denied for a visit to the DNC building on December 14, 2020, when the request was submitted at 10:50 a.m. for a site visit at 5 p.m. same day. During our interview, a K-9 supervisor said at least 24 hours advance notice for an EOD request would be needed because EOD teams typically come from local military bases. The Secret Service defines an unusual protectee event as any occurrence, episode, or incident that interrupts the normal protective activities of Secret Service. These events have unusual significance, such as failed or mitigated security incidents or an attempted or successful assassination, kidnapping, or assault. It's 2 a.m. We're going to have to go. Once the UP is declared, the appropriate Secret Service staff are required to report the incident to their chain of command, who would then brief protective operations leadership. Staff also required to complete so they didn't report it as UPE. We can finish this if you want to next time, but basically the rest of it is like they didn't report it as an unusual event. It says, conclusion, on January 6th, the Secret Service planned and conducted protective operations for several sites affected by the day's events, including the rally at the Lips, the U.S. Capitol, and the DNC building. Although it did not anticipate or plan for the level of violence that ultimately occurred that day, the Secret Service took actions to respond to and mitigate the threats it encountered and avoid any harm to its protectees and to assist Capitol Police. The events of January 6th were unprecedented, and the issues we identified during our review present an opportunity for the Secret Service to be better prepared in the future. Now, here's the recommendations. 1, we recommend the Director of the Secret Service reassess the agreement with U.S. Capitol Police blank. This is when the Vice President is there, to ensure there is adequate flexibility depending on conditions to determine the appropriate size of the protective detail and document any updates to the agreement within the Capitol. Now, number 2 is a recommendation they did not agree on. We recommended the Director of the Secret Service develop and implement protocols for providing civil disturbance unit support to law enforcement partners in the event of an emergency such as that occurred on January 6th to ensure appropriate timely response. They did not agree on that one. Number 3, we recommend the Director of the Secret Service develop and implement a policy and guidance that ensures consistent approach for requesting technical security division. They agreed on that one. Number 4, they did not agree. We recommend that the Director of the Secret Service develop and implement training for site agents on directing canine sweeps if a specialized technical security division agent is not assigned to a site. Number 5, agree. We recommend that the Director of the Secret Service implement policy and guidance on requesting explosive ordnance disposal personnel, including specifying the protective events for which they are available, specifying any required timeframes for requests, and identifying site personnel responsible for submitting explosive ordnance disposal requests. Recommendation 6, agree. We recommend the Director of the Secret Service ensure that adequate procedures are in place and are followed for conducting internal after-action reviews, including completing required documentation and evaluations for incidents that qualify as unusual protective events. We have included a copy of the Secret Service management comments on the entirety of the appendix. B, we also received technical comments from the Secret Service on the draft report and made revisions as appropriate. In response to our draft report, the Secret Service expressed concern regarding how the report characterized Secret Service responses to OIG's requests for information. Secret Service stated that several OIG requests were wide-ranging in scope and included requests for access to highly sensitive information that was unrelated to January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. The Secret Service asserted that while fully committed to cooperating with the OIG, it is appropriate for it to make inquiries to ensure the appropriate disclosure and safeguarding of sensitive information. As an example, Secret Service cited the OIG's June 11, 2021 request for emails, texts, and phone communications, stating that because their request was all-encompassing and included senior-level Secret Service leadership, there was no doubt these communications included highly sensitive information unrelated to the OIG's review. Therefore, the Secret Service requested the OIG reduce the scope of the request and allow the Secret Service to review communications before providing them to OIG. So basic things of their back and forth for it, but there you go. They were fucking close to Mike Pence, not only Mike Pence, but his family. And you know what they would have done to Mike Pence if they'd have got him. And Trump didn't do a goddamn thing until it was almost all over. Half of them were fucking rented up, and he said, "We love you. You're special. Go home." Pence is a traitor. He let us down. Thank you guys for joining us. Sorry for the late start, but you get to see the movie. I highly recommend if you like that type of movie, going and seeing. We enjoyed it. Deadpool and Wolverine. Thank you guys for joining us. I'll be back tomorrow. Support the stream or offline. We greatly appreciate it. That's how we pay the bills around here, and it hasn't been doing that great lately. But thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate it. We'll see you about the next one. Have a good night. Love you. See you. Bye. Coldbeer.fund. F-U-N-D.
But I can tell you this about if this douchebag happens to see this particular show, you don't have the forking balls to call out the people on this planet by name and tell them exactly who they are. And tell
Nick saved all the lives.
Have the forking balls.
And he met Mr. Right there.
Okay, Scott.
Here we go, I think I started some shit. Listen off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the best, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some.
You know how you feel special when there's a random federal prisoner masturbating to you when you get out of the shower? You know how special you feel? Gulp.
Came equipped with a quick wit and a 6th sense for the stupid shit. Where my true believer? Y'all need Jesus. Praise the Lord.
If Nick would have had 17 joints, none of this would have happened and Trump would have been president. Who the fuck shows up with 7 joints to the federal Capitol building? Are you an idiot?
Clearly. Baby, lizard people, alien sex. What's next? Trump in a dress, fucking Flynn on his desk.
Even I know you got to show up with 17
5G towers, cause you told
or 71. It's a Delta.
superpowers. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the bets, you know that stage is set. You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. I used to find clues too when I was high on shrooms. I found myself a tunnel that led to Jason Q's bedroom. Open his closet, I found some of his meat rockets. I strapped them to my shoes and then I flew through the roof. I found myself in orbit strapped to an F-16.
Good night, homies and chicas.
Put on a light coat of baby oil and
Remember Yori? She's been super sick lately. That's why she hasn't been around very much. She checked in with us. I thought that Texas Info Warrior finally had her deported, and I was going to, campaign for Trump to get Yori back across, or I'm sorry, campaign for Kamala so the border stays open so she gets sneaked back in. Turns out that was all just me panicking. Okay, she's just been sick. Have a good night.
You better buckle up, cause you ain't seen none yet. Here we go, I think I started some shit. Piss them off, it's about to get lit. Get the place in the bets,